It's time for All In with Paul Jolovitz. Once a month, these two aces of the airwaves take to the road and broadcast live from one of Atlantic City's beautiful casinos, giving you the insider info on all your favorite Philly sports teams.
You'll find all of the news is here.
All In with Paul Jolovitz is an exclusive presentation of 1490 WBCB, your home on the radio dial in Bucks, Burlington, and Mercer counties.
Enter a destination.
We now go live to All In. Here are your hosts, the pastor of the poker face, Paul Jolovitz.
Alrighty, everybody, welcome to All In. Nice intro there, Chris Ermer. Beautiful day, beautiful casino. We're here at the Gallery Bar and Sportsbook here at Ocean Casino in Atlantic City with a million things going on, people buzzing around, a lot of energy. We are all in for the next 3 hours talking sports.
It is beautiful to be with you, buddy. That's for sure.
Mr. Chris Ermer, my co-host today.
I'm jumping in.
He's jumping in, and we'll have Ben Jones from BCWSA at 3 o'clock. Tommy Greene, who's right in front of me now. Former Phillies pitcher, will be here at 4. Yep. I always like the energy of this place, Chris. I mean, any casino has energy, but you got all kinds of machines and the sports book and the lights and a million TVs with a curved, however, technology. They do that, big screens. And
there's like a ticker tape kind of thing, too, right? That's
it's hard to not be up
awesome.
and happy when you're sitting here, right? If you're angry, this is a good place to be because you'll feel better pretty soon.
Well, and if you don't feel right, just look out the window. The views at the Ocean Casino and Resort are spectacular.
It's aptly named. It is next to the ocean. Not that that's a shock to any of you, but really amazing views.
Oh, really? Oh.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah. The Atlantic Ocean, not the Pacific.
That's a good idea.
In case you're geographically challenged. But a lot of stuff to talk about today, Chris. First of all, the Sixers are apparently going to be sold. They had been okay financially until they were informed today that they were being fined $75,000 by the NBA for repeated violations of the injury report and not telling everybody that Joel Embiid was hurt before the Denver game. And apparently that $75K pushed Josh, who owns 28 teams now, over the brink, and it's time to sell. Just kidding. $75G fine. Your thoughts on this? Absolutely egregious.
I think poor Josh. Oh gosh, it's gonna really hurt him.
Yeah, get it from Dave Blitzer maybe. Obviously,
poor
we're talking
guy.
about Joel Embiid tonight. And
drop in the bucket. I mean,
it is a drop in the bucket.
We've talked about fines before. That really seems like a big nothing.
Maybe no potato chips for the media for a game or two, but they'll find a way to get through. Joel will not play tonight in Utah. We'll talk about that more as we go along. A new head coach in the NFL, Chris. The Dallas Cowboys defensive coordinator Dan Quinn will still be in the division, but with a different team facing the Eagles, as he has been named the head coach of the Washington Commanders.
Commanders with Quinn. Seems like a good name.
Commander Quinn?
I'm sure we'll get into it with the Birds and the new coordinators, but Dan Quinn is a name that is respected, has been kicked around the NFL, and I feel good about who the Eagles have at DC and OC right now, at least as far as their resumes, as opposed to the two guys who came in here last year really without any gravitas or,
pedigree.
Yeah, thank you.
Dan Quinn has been a tremendous D coordinator, should have won a Super Bowl, forgot that he was not playing the clock, and lost a 28-3 lead to New England. He and Kyle Shanahan, who will be in next week's Super Bowl in Vegas, 58, we'll also talk about that along the way.
Oh, yeah.
Flyers have a bad problem. There's no such thing as a good problem, I guess. Carter Hart situation, which doesn't look good. They'll have a press conference the 5th in London, Ontario, about the charge of sexual assault brought against the 5. If I said to you, and I'm going to say to you right now, Chris, and we know nothing about this, nothing about the case, I'm not going to speculate. It's irresponsible. But knowing nothing as we know, just the bare facts, if I said to you, even money, we're in a casino here, even money, Carter Hart will play a game again this year as a Flyer, a game ever as a Flyer. What would you bet on both those bets?
Oh, gosh. Again, I don't really know a lot of the legal issues that are at play. I think if he doesn't go to jail for a long time, it's likely he'll get an opportunity to play professional hockey again.
But this case may not be adjudicated for a year or two, and this isn't the kind of thing where you stole a book from Denny's and you'll be out on bail and you can play. Sexual assault is something that fans in Philadelphia or anybody else are not going to tolerate You've seen it with all kinds of Trevor Bauer and all kinds of other things.
And yet, we also operate under that principle of innocent until proven guilty.
In a court of law.
Right.
Innocent proven guilty in the court of public opinion is not, doesn't matter.
I think as a public, aren't we supposed to keep that same integrity as our legal system? I say we don't do it, but as a people, that's kind of what we are. That's our principle. That's our ideal. You're innocent until you're proven guilty. And so right now, there hasn't been anything with Carter Hart where he's been, proven guilty, in court and all this other stuff. So I don't know.
You're exactly right. But the court of public opinion, unfortunately, doesn't work that way. And there are people who believe it. I believe it. You believe it. But public is all of us. And Wander Franco, for example, of the Tampa Bay Rays, who has not been proven to have done anything, missed the last 81 or whatever games last year. He looks like he's not going to play this year. He's one of the top young players in baseball. Sexual assault's not something you screw around with. It's just a unfortunate charge, and we hope Carter and the Flyers hope justice is served.
And unfortunately, you're talking about a much bigger story, but it coincides with the Flyers starting to take a downturn, whether it's the competition they're playing or whatever.
A little slump.
Is there an emotional price that they're paying because of this story?
I don't know. It's a good question, but they lost 5 in a row before the All-Star break. The All-Star game is Saturday in Toronto. Quick question, because we're going to spend the majority of this show on the majority of the lead with the Eagles, but we have 2 All-Star games. The Pro Bowl flag football competition in Orlando is Saturday. Jalen and Darius Slay got named to that. AJ will not be playing in it.
Well, I'll just start by saying I'm not a big all-star game guy.
Okay, well, that's where this question's headed. If I said to you, Chris Irmer, you have to watch, I'm going to pay you money, and you're going to have to watch either the all-star game, the NHL on Saturday, the poor goalies facing the myriad of shots without any defense, or the flag football game on Sunday in the Pro Bowl. You got to watch one of them. Which one are you going to watch?
You know what? I think I'm going to go with the flag football just because of the novelty of it and everything surrounding it. The production value is probably going to be off the charts with what the NFL puts into these events, so I'll add all that stuff in. And I'm a little more of a football dude than I am a hockey guy, so I would say flag football probably. How much money are you going to give me, by the way?
I don't know if I'm going to be able to give you
Come on. Wait a second.
Maybe.
Wait a second.
I always try to look inside the masks. You can't look inside a mask, obviously, but if I do find myself watching 5 minutes or 10 minutes of the Hockey All-Star game where they don't check, they don't hit, they don't block shots, and the best players in the world, it's just a shooting gallery, and these poor goalies who are the best goalies in the league, but scores always like 12-8. I always look at the goalies and think, they got a mask on. Inside they got to be going, who the bleep? What's going on here? 100 miles an hour here, 90 miles an hour. Stop a shot, do something. Yeah. But it's a joke. Senior Bowl's this weekend, which is an all-star game that may set who the Eagles are interested in, or not set, but show who the Eagles may be interested in and watch them play in Mobile, Alabama. That's this week. Baseball's getting underway in a month in Clearwater. Will Dave Dombrowski get a right-handed hitter, a closer, a starter? We'll see. But all these things revolve around the sun in Philadelphia, Chris, which is the Philadelphia Eagles, who've had a lightning 2 weeks since the season ended. Nick Sirianni stays, neutered, if you might say, having to change the coaching staff probably at the behest of the authorities above, Jeffrey and Howie.
I would say better equipped. I mean, yes, I agree that.
Better equipped for what?
Better equipped with his offensive coordinator and defensive coordinator going into a brand new season.
Well, this year, I mean, Chris, you and I could be the new coordinators. You wouldn't be that much worse equipped, right?
Well, I mean, they had a bad year and
bad second half,
and the decision to bring Patricia in was a disaster. But I don't know.
Well, that was just a Hail Mary. Listen, when they moved, I don't think Sean decides that bad.
I feel like this is a prove-it year for Sirianni is what I'm saying, because now he's got guys around him that have proven what they can do. He's got to motivate. He's got to administrate. He's got to coordinate everything else in order to, I mean, don't you think this is a make-or-break year for Nick Sirianni?
Absolutely. The one word, you talk about all that stuff, the one word I'm going to kind of blend that into is culture. Jason Kelsey said he doesn't remember a coach who's been so good in front of the team. Sirianni's not going to have any control of the offense. That's Kellen Moore right now. He's Sirianni's boss theoretically on the offense. That's a weird way of working, a weird dynamic. Vic Fangio on the defense, my primary care physician, by the way, grew up with Vic Fangio. Gave me some scoop on him yesterday.
Dr. Fangio.
Dr. Fangio, not Dr. Fangio's friend. And Nick Sirianni, what's he going to do? He's sitting on the defensive meetings, comment on the wallpaper. I mean, what? You need maybe a little tinge of red on the ceiling there. He's going to find it interesting to see what his role is. He was asked at the presser, what are you going to do? What's your role? Excuse me, and we'll see what that is next year. As the coordinators get going, they've hired some new assistant coaches, D-line, and the like, and the talent for Howie Roseman, obviously, they need a lot more of it in the back seven. What's your whole opinion? My gut, Chris, my immediate gut, is if somebody said, what's the Eagles' ceiling next year, without having any idea, which is one of the magic things of sports, they could be 17-0, win a Super Bowl, or they could be 0-17. Let's hope they're closer to this, but I don't know what the collapse cause was this year. I know the locker room fell apart, everything fell apart. I don't think they're going to be a Super Bowl team next year. I think they could be a playoff team. What's your ceiling? What's your gut on January 3rd, February 1st?
I'm just an optimist with these kind of things.
Nothing
when
wrong
you
with
say
that.
what possibly could it be, I believe if everything comes together the right way with an NFL team and Jalen Hurts and a possible MVP quarterback, and
Is he a possible MVP quarterback?
last year, yes, because he was last year.
Okay.
And so he proved that he can be a possible MVP quarterback. Didn't quite get it done. He proved that he can take a team to the Super Bowl.
Fair.
Didn't quite get it done. He proved he can play well in the Super Bowl. But
Was it all the
unfortunately,
coaching, Chris?
Just I can't imagine that it was all scheme and he was out there executing it. So there's something there.
Oh, there's absolutely something there, but to me, I want to kind of differentiate the defense and the offense because to me, these two are completely different paradigms. The defense, to me, the players weren't good enough. You had some injuries. You had some cornerbacks tapped on the shoulder by Father Time. Nakobe Dean got hurt. The defensive line didn't play up to snuff. Jordan Davis and the like. Jalen Carter might have hit the rookie wall. Fletcher played great. Hassan Reddick was dropped back in pass coverage a bunch of times, which is kind of a metaphor for how they played. The defense, to me, Bill Belichick couldn't have coordinated his defense. They were just bad. They were exposed, and they didn't change anything. The lack of adjustments was stunning, which is adjustments is the key to the NFL. One team did it, another team, and you had your collapse on the last part of the year. Offensively, they pretty much were who they were. You had an offensive lineman banged up now and then. A.J. missed a couple games. That, to me, was synchronicity with Brian Johnson, with Nick Sirianni, and Jalen. Somebody wasn't on the same page with somebody. I don't care if Brian and Jalen knew each other forever. Professionally, they obviously weren't on the same page. I think they have two sets of problems here. Special teams were fine. Do you see it that way?
Oh, yeah. No question. And the offense with Jalen Hurts and some of the futility that they had this season is way more inexplicable, especially with the receivers and that offense. How come they couldn't run the football?
They couldn't run the football. They didn't run the football. The turnovers, the red zone, defensively, they couldn't tackle. Was Jalen, human nature, Chris, I know you are, and you may agree that I am, human. Human nature, when things go wrong over an extended period of time in a passionate market, keep layering things here on, people tend to press. Jalen had the knee injury. Actually, he's pretty good in some games this year. I think he pressed, and I think that made it worse toward the end.
Well, people were pointing to those big A.J. Brown games that came in succession, 125 yards, 5 weeks in a row,
yeah.
right? Wow. But then, if it seemed like maybe that was where he was pressing, he was focusing a little bit too much on A.J., and then once that broke down, there was nothing left there. Or, I don't know, it seemed like
let's stop you right there for a second.
Yeah.
Sorry for interrupting, but A.J. and Jalen, that's a dynamic. Jalen's A.J.'s godfather to his daughter. The closeness didn't seem to be there this year. I don't know whether we from the outside can perceive that. AJ's been in a couple of interviews, Kay Adams and the like, the last couple of days.
Yeah, said some stuff.
Didn't really say he didn't want to be traded or wouldn't be traded. Really didn't mention the Eagles. Didn't say he did want to be traded. Just kind of answer the questions. The relationship seems like it's not as close. Does that matter? And B, is it the case? Probably reversed, actually, for that.
I don't think that matters that much. I don't know. I don't think that friendly dynamic is such a big deal. In fact, I think that may have undermined their professional relationship this season and how AJ felt like he could talk to his quarterback. You got to have a little bit of respect for that position and know that that's going to be.
What's more important, the position or the person? If you're buddies with the person.
I mean, I think the person probably comes first.
Okay.
But then there is a professional, the quarterback has a certain
Gravitas. Your word.
deserves a certain amount of respect. Yeah, absolutely. And he didn't show that. And I think maybe that was because they were a little bit too buddy-buddy. But I don't think that matters that much. I think it's the play on the field that somehow broke down, or the.
Would you agree that with all the things the Eagles have to do, with everything Jeffrey Lurie has to do, Howie with the draft 22, 50, and 53, free agency obviously before that, an NFL offseason is forever, the whole AJ thing, do you make a deal? To me, look at everything with the Eagles, getting better players on the defense, Brandon, Jason, Fletcher, Lane, retirements, non-retirements, with all that thrown in the mix, and it's all a lot. To me, the biggest thing the Eagles have to worry about this offseason in an offensively driven league with a quarterback driving that offense is to get Jalen Hurts straightened out, period. Would you agree with that?
I definitely agree with that. And maybe the right next to that is adding significant pieces to the defensive side of the football.
Absolutely.
But somehow you got to get A.J. Brown and Jalen on the same page, feeling that kind of vibe together again.
And Devontae. I mean, it's not about A.J. and Jalen, the whole thing. It's Devontae, Dallas Goedert. I mean, we've heard about a deal. One thing about a deal, Chris, because this drives me insane. I've said it for many years on WBCB. I say it all the time on WIP. Nobody's untouchable in this world to me.
A.J. Brown's untouchable.
A.J. Brown is not untouchable. Nobody's if Kansas City called you and said, hey, we'll give you Patrick Mahomes.
Kevin Costner in that movie, The Untouchables, he was untouchable.
Elliot Ness is untouchable.
Sean Connery.
But A.J. Brown's not untouchable. We know that. Untouchable is a comment made by people who are afraid of themselves to not be able to say no to an offer. You can sit on the phone all day long. People can call you, try to cherry pick whoever. Just say no to all of them. But we hear about A.J. Brown for Patrick Surtain. Are you looking to deal? We know he's not untouchable because the possibility does exist. Would you be looking to deal A.J. Brown for whatever assets if you were Howie Roseman?
I mean, I guess I would be listening to any kind of offers that would be out there, but I wouldn't be intentionally trying to make a deal or shopping A.J. Brown.
He's terrific.
The other thing you got to be careful of is the agent, the player. Everybody starts to know that you are trying to make a deal or shopping somebody, and then that erodes the whole. I mean, that might be part of what AJ scrubbed the social media, and he didn't say what you were hoping or what Eagles fans might have hoped he would have said in those interviews where they said, hey, do you want to come back and catch balls for the Eagles? And he's like, well, I just want to work on my game, and I want to work on myself.
Yeah, he didn't mention any.
I want to be the best I can be. I give respect to that, but as an Eagles fan, I'm like, man, I want you to.
Well, you were an Eagles fan in 1988, Chris, as was I.
Yeah.
If somebody had said A.J. Brown has scrubbed his social media, we'd look at each other and go, what the. I mean, the world has changed so much, hasn't it?
Yeah. And players have to. I think players are aware of their personal power in that regard, and they utilize it in these contract and team negotiations in a way that provides them a huge amount of leverage. When A.J. Brown scrubbed his social media, that was a big deal for people just talking about.
Not for me, to be honest with you. I don't care when he does. I mean, I obviously care if you think it means the end of a tenure with a guy. I don't want to be an Eagle anymore.
Yeah.
Obviously, you got to ask him those questions, but I tend not to go over the top in my reverence for social media. I think it's great in some ways. It's awful in some ways. We saw Joel last year using it in all the wrong ways, talking about the MVP conversation. You can use it in a million good ways, a million bad ways. I just want A.J. Brown to come back here, show the ability he has, get on the same page with Jalen, same page with Devontae, find out what running backs you're going to have, put the offensive line there, let Stoutland coach them, let Kellen Moore coordinate it, and roll.
You go back to that question of what can this team be next year, and you say, I think they can be a playoff team, and I'm optimistic that maybe they can be a Super Bowl team.
Well, once you're a playoff team, I mean, it's just 1 week, right?
That dynamic between Devontae, A.J., Jalen, and even Dallas Goedert, I felt like was not clicking this season.
Something was missing. Do you like Kellen Moore? They've hired 2 new coordinators. Let's talk about him. Kellen Moore, former great All-America quarterback at Boise State, went into coaching early, wound up the coordinator of Dallas, who was 30 years old, was with Dak for 4 years, runs the ball a lot, put up good numbers, went to San Diego or LA for a year with that mess with Justin Herbert. Now he's here. I think it's a terrific hiring.
I don't know the X's and O's stuff, but I look at these two hires and I like what I see on the surface, right? The offensive coordinator and his reputation. But, not
Fangio
only
can't go to bed at night without knowing if the Phillies won.
And he looks like a guy who wants to mix it up and wear a hoodie to work, like the Belichick-style guy. And
old school.
Kellen Moore looks like this young, fresh-faced, kind of offensive-minded guy that is going to innovate and create, and that's his reputation. So I like both of those things. Like
and what does Sirianni
Fangio
do
seems
here?
like a Philly dude, and Kellen Moore seems like that
millennial,
inventive kind. Yeah.
All right, so you're Nick Sirianni. You walk into work, you see Kellen Moore work on the offensive game plan. You see Fangio, who's not a blitzer. We know the Eagles had horrible problems with a blitz, and he'll find a way to get that defense. His numbers are always good. Not the most aggressive guy like a Jim Johnson, but scheme aside for a second. He sees Kellen Moore doing his thing, sees Fangio doing his thing, and wonders, what do I do? What do you think that wondering is with on a normal Tuesday, Wednesday, whatever, walking into the building, and what does Sirianni, do you think, see his job is?
I don't know. I think a lot of times as that type of a role, you don't have to do a lot, but those little tweaks and the small adjustments that you can make can be super powerful. So I don't deny, and through that role, I think Kellen Moore will listen to what he says up to a point.
You hope that they collaborate, obviously.
Right. And I don't know, through that,
I'm sure in the hiring process it was flushed out that they're compatible in some way. You don't want to have them at odds with each other, Jeffrey and Howie, with Fangio and Kellen and Sirianni. But
I guess I don't see it as all that different from a typical NFL relationship between an offensive coordinator, defensive coordinator, and their head coach.
Let me give you the example that I'm thinking of, and that will attest to your question. I'm a big fan and have been a big fan for the last couple of years of Dan Campbell. A lot of people thought he had a rough day last Sunday. I didn't. I would have done everything he did except call the timeout.
Come on,
with the
kick
running
that field goal.
Absolute 100% correct.
You go up 3 scores.
I don't cliche. Cliches mean nothing to me. Listen, sometimes you win, sometimes you lose. I'm a risk taker. He's a risk taker. You got there doing that. Not important for this particular combo.
All right.
Dan Campbell's a guy who's not an X and O guy on either side of the ball in his head job, if you believe what you hear. But Dan Campbell is not somebody who has sports talk callers in Detroit or people like us in Detroit saying, what does Dan Campbell do? Because you see his emotion, you see his fire, you see how he involves the culture, you see the team respects him, you see the coordinators respect him. He's got 2 coordinators both being interviewed for head jobs. Ben Johnson decided maybe that his price was too high, or other teams decided. Aaron Glenn walked out without his job now that they're all filled. But Dan Campbell, you see clearly the value of Dan Campbell to a team. Nick Sirianni is the same kind of coach. I don't necessarily see that. What does Sirianni have to do? You can't become Dan Campbell. You can't become somebody you're not. But do you see the parallel I'm trying to draw?
I do, but I see it as a lot of perception. I mean, Sirianni's players came out and really were spoke in favor of him.
Did you expect that? Did you expect him to say Nick sucks, we don't want him? Or does the strength of their comments resonate more? Because that's fair as well.
I thought their comments were true, resonated with me.
Kelsey's yesterday?
Especially Cox, what he had to say about his coach and the
He
number
was
of
strong.
wins he had put up and stuff. And
Does that matter to you?
yeah,
I mean,
I
it
think
can't not
so.
matter, I guess. But is it a reason?
Yeah.
Is it a get-out-of-jail-free card if you have a horrible year that you've had, that you got to the Super Bowl last year? Or do you have to think? To me, Jeffrey Lurie had to think, and Howie, I guess, to some extent. We don't know how Jeffrey regards Howie. Is Nick's the iceberg sailed in front of the team? Nick sailed right into it. He had a chance to change everything the whole year. Nothing got better. Everything got worse. This was kind of his trial by fire. I don't care what he did last year. I think he's the wrong man for the job going forward this year, or the right man, which he obviously decided if he gets new coaches. How much of a mulligan is prior success, in your opinion, in any job in this world?
It's a pretty strong mulligan, I think.
Okay.
You take the team to the Super Bowl. You win 10 games in the following season. You get to the playoffs.
11.
11. I'm still
1
on 10 and 1. I'm stuck on 10 and 1.
Yep.
We won another game after that. I forgot. But
33-25.
yeah, definitely past success gives you a second chance, maybe a third chance. You know, I even look back. Sometimes it feels similar to when people wanted Andy Reid out of town. And, like, if Andy Reid is a good coach, then why do we want him out of town?
Because everybody's got a shelf life, Chris. People talked about this on my other station, WIP, this week.
Yeah.
Like, do you wish he'd been here? Is he the GOAT? I mean, no, he's not the GOAT. Belichick is. He's won 6 Super Bowls. But bottom line, Andy Reid's clearly a top 5 all-time coach. But he was fired after 8-8 and 4 in 12 years. All kinds of stuff happened with his family. There's a shelf life. We wouldn't have had Patrick Mahomes. All these what-if situations. I mean, sometimes somebody needs a fresh start, and that was Andy Reid for sure. You can't look back and say we shouldn't have. Excuse me. Obviously, Andy Reid's a great coach. He's had another Super Bowl. He's been like 19 now. But sometimes you need a fresh start, don't you? We've been through that. I have. I'm sure you have.
Yeah, but if you identify as somebody is good at their job, you don't let them go because they've had some trouble in a couple of seasons.
I think
you
you're
look
doing
back, as much as we love Jeff Lurie, like, nobody talks about the fact that he let one of the best coaches in the NFL go after a long string
and
of
the public was
big-time
all
success.
for it. If you had polled the public that day, everybody would have said, right move, Jeffrey. Time for a change. Mike Keenan, all kinds of coaches have been in Philadelphia who had shelf lives with other teams too. You can't stay in the same place forever and have the same effect. I mean, I can't explain to you what would have happened if Andy had stayed, but I think his message wasn't getting through. Plenty of coaches' message doesn't get through. You get a fresh start. Maybe they see what they did wrong. They get great coaching staffs. Obviously, Andy drafted Mahomes and a great team around him. He's got a good GM. But sometimes you just need a fresh start. I mean,
well, I think that might apply for us, Paul, because I do believe that we're due for a fresh start.
We're due for a fresh start after a break?
Yeah.
All right, let's take a break then. This is All In. We're here at the Gallery Bar and Sportsbook at Ocean Casino watching 1 million TVs with 1 million people doing 1 million things, smiles on their faces, drinks and food in hand.
Oh, hey, did you bring your CBS Sports NFL hat that Merrill gave us?
I didn't get one.
What?
What do you mean? You got that hat and I didn't?
You must not have been there. Get out of here.
I didn't get a hat. Billy's the one that steals hats. I didn't get any hats.
Oh, yeah.
I'll be happy to take a hat when Jolly in the Loon tomorrow. If there's any left, I'd like to get one.
I don't know. They're going quick. This is my Tony Romo hat.
Oh, he's so bad. We won't rock Tony Romo. Tony Romo was somebody who was very good, came in, heard all the press clippings, forgot to prepare, and is the victim of now the John Wooden line. Failing to prepare is preparing to fail. We'll have an unprepared analyst probably doing the Super Bowl next week for CBS in Vegas. Hopefully not. We will take a break. This is All In from the Gallery Bar and Sportsbook in Ocean Casino in Atlantic City. We are back. Ben Jones, Tommy Greene coming forward. Paul Jolovitz, Chris Ermer. Back right after this.
Go to get your game on at the Gallery Bar Booking Games in Ocean Casino Resort this football season. Cheers your favorite drinks while cheering on your favorite team. Get in on the parlay while in the middle of a party. Go for the sports scene and go for the endless screens. Go to the Gallery. Go to Ocean. Go for the win. For more information, visit theoceanac.com. Must be 21 or older to wager or consume alcohol. Gambling problem? Call 1-800-GAMBLER.
BCWSA customers, former Phillies pitcher Tommy Greene here. I played on the 1993 National League champs, so I know a thing or two about what it's like playing on a winning team. BCWSA has all the ingredients. They make it easy for their customers to get automatic updates by text, email, or phone anytime there is a disruption in your service area. You can even customize your alerts by going to bcwsa.net. That's bcwsa.net. BCWSA, your partner for a safer environment. BCWSA, proven.
Head out to Dion Square, located at South Oxford Valley and South Olds Boulevard, to get all your essentials in one place, with the following businesses ready to serve you: Pat Dion Beverages, CVS Pharmacy, Hair Cuttery, Smile Culture Dental, Biomat, Liberty Auto Tags, Pennsylvania Fine Wine and Spirits, Lee's Hoagie House, R&J Smoothies and Juices, AutoZone, and First National Bank and Trust of Newtown. Make Dion Square your one stop for all your shopping needs at South Oxford Valley Road and South Olds Boulevard in Fairless Hills.
You won't see termites crawling across your floor, but thousands might be devouring the wood in your walls, weakening the structure of your home. For over 50 years, termite proofing and pest control of the Delaware Valley has been in the exterminating business. If you think you have a pest problem, they're the experts. Call them today at 215-639-5455. That's 215-639-5455 for TPPC. Termite proofing and pest control of the Delaware Valley gives your home or business peace of mind, knowing your pest problem is in their hands. Located at 1560 Bristol Pike in Bensalem, they use only EPA-approved material applied by licensed technicians. Call Termite Proofing and Pest Control of the Delaware Valley at 215-639-5455.
Energy costs are skyrocketing. Now's the time to upgrade your old heater and air conditioning systems to more efficient units to save on your utility bills. Harris Comfort can also handle all your propane needs, as well as providing sales and service on whole house generators. Harris Comfort is still family owned and has been serving our area for over 60 years, providing sales, service, installation, and peace of mind. Call 215-788-4596 or go to harriscomfort.com. Harris Comfort, still family and still local. With over 7,200 square feet of 200 brewers in stock at all times, Pat Dion Beverages now features 5 different flavors of their favorite slushy cocktails. You can also purchase all your wine, liquor, and other fine spirits right next door. Visit us on Facebook or online at patdionbeverages.com for upcoming events and samples from your favorite brewery or local food vendor.
We now return to All In with Paul Jolovitz, broadcasting live in Atlantic City.
All righty, we are back in Atlantic City at the beautiful Ocean Casino Gallery Bar and Sportsbook. It is a wonderful place. There are so many things to do here at the Gallery Bar and Sportsbook. Nowhere hosts a big game quite like Ocean Casino Resort in Atlantic City, with food and drink specials to keep you fueled up all game long, all day long. Multiple action-packed venues to choose from. For sports betting and to watch the big game on the big screen, we've got you covered. Viewing locations include the Gallery Bar Booking Games, which is where we are now, Chris, Balcony Bar, Top Golf Swing Suite, and the Villain and Saint. For more information, visit theoceanac.com. And you want things to do here? Napoleon Dynamite Live. Go to Ocean Casino Resort, which is where we are, in Atlantic City for a very special evening celebrating the 20th anniversary of Napoleon Dynamite on Saturday, March 9th. The unique evening includes a full movie screening and exclusive, lively, freewheeling discussions with John Heater, who was Napoleon Dynamite, John Grice, Uncle Rico,
wow,
Efren Ramirez, Pedro. They got the whole crew.
Pedro.
Yeah, Pedro. This live show is a hysterical blend of Q&A, comedy, improv, and more. Napoleon Dynamite Live at Ocean Casino Resort in Atlantic City, Saturday, March 9th. For tickets, visit oceanac.com. We got a lot more coming for you.
Wow, 20 years? That's making me feel a little old. I celebrated my 50th year of life just recently, and the Flyers celebrating the 50th anniversary of the last time they won the Cup, which
Great
is
alumni weekend,
starting to be quite a drought.
And we'll talk about that drought and Carter Hart and Joel Embiid with the Sixers and Rhys Hoskins we're going to get to in a second with the Phillies. By the way, the 8 NFL jobs that open up on Black Monday or shortly thereafter in the NFL are all filled now. Dan Quinn with the Commanders, Mike McDonald, the defense coordinator of the Ravens, signing with the Seahawks yesterday, leaving. I mean, if you want to think this is a game of musical chairs, which it is, the music has stopped and Bill Belichick is without a chair. Whether Jeffrey Lurie had interest in him, if he didn't bring Nick back or anybody else. Falcons interviewed him twice, hired Raheem Morris. That surprised me. Did it surprise you?
Yeah. You know, you got to have a certain temperament for Bill Belichick, and
I think he wanted too much control, to be honest with you. Bad GM, probably didn't want to give that up, and owners said, you want a coach? Fine. You want a GM? Go somewhere else.
I mean, just the way he operates with the media and his team, you know, he needs that kind of oversight over everything and every element. So
what do you mean he needs it?
Well, I think that in order for him to be successful, for him to be comfortable, for him to be Bill Belichick, he's got to
right now,
feel like he can put his thumb on people.
If I'm an owner, I've got to ask him if he comes in for an interview, and he might be interviewing me as much as I'm interviewing him. I thought that he'd have his choice of jobs. What happened in New England? You had Mac Jones the last 3 years. Obviously, you know you need a quarterback. You had somebody pretty good before that. If you don't know who it is, you shouldn't be listening to this show. what happened?
Yeah, that's a good question, and I guess that's why although surprised because, we're talking about Bill Belichick, he represents definitely a mindset that certain teams embrace in the NFL, but certain owners want a different, I don't know, a jazzier, snazzier kind of look.
Younger?
Yeah, well.
Pete Carroll also left. He didn't get another job.
More offensively innovative and all that. Oh, yeah, I don't know.
I know you were surprised Mike Vrabel didn't get another job.
Then I think to myself, actually, owners really just want to win.
They want to win.
So
they want to sell tickets. They want to win. They want to make money. Obviously, number one, the NFL plays games on Thursdays at 4 o'clock in the morning if it would make $1. But you talked about that Mike Vrabel didn't, or was that Lee Alexander earlier?
I think that was Lee.
All right. Well, we got the suspect screwed up. But I'll ask you. I mean, the music stopped until there's another opening. There's not another opening. Mike Vrabel, winning record with Tennessee, doesn't get another job. Defensive-oriented guy. He wins. Went without a great quarterback. Does it surprise you?
That also not shocking to me because both of those guys, they weren't like in the pipeline. They weren't necessarily names that teams were thinking of until, Belichick, you don't know if that shoe is ever going to drop in New England. When it finally does, that changes the landscape. But at that point, there's already, favorites in the running for the upcoming coach job that you might have.
But the young
a guy sits out a year.
Yep.
I don't know. That to me, I want my coach to sit for a year.
Well, Peyton did.
You don't need to just jump right into another team.
Andy got another job in 2 days, literally 2 days.
Right.
Sean Payton sat out a year. If somebody said to me, will Bill Belichick be on an NFL sideline in 2025, bet even money or not right now, I'd say, yeah, he probably will. But I understand taking a step back. McCarthy did it in Dallas. Didn't seem to help a whole lot.
Take a year, digest everything that happened at the last place and start afresh. I don't know. So I will be surprised if Vrabel and Belichick don't get jobs in the very near future. But the fact that they didn't come up with these 8 spots, not so much.
25% of the league carried turned over this year. All right, let's go from football for a second. We are here.
Oh, wait, I want to tell you who I'm rooting for in the Super Bowl.
Okay.
Taylor Swift.
She's not playing.
No?
No.
Well,
you would think she is, but she's not.
I'm rooting for Kansas City so that Taylor Swift can be happy, and and so all the haters can stuff it.
I kind of share your view on the haters. I don't extend it to who I'm rooting for. I don't care that much.
Right. Well, that's also part of it, that I don't have a really strong rooting interest. So as I look for things that are of interest, I look at all of the noise around this Taylor Swift and Travis Kelce thing, and I know some people are already sick of it, but
listen, I think of it this way: Taylor Swift is.
I'm rooting for the lovebirds.
Yeah, Travis Kelce's dating Taylor Swift, which, if you have been on this planet for the last few months, especially if you're a football fan, you're well aware of. Taylor Swift seems like a nice lady. These two to me have done nothing to ask for publicity, to ask for paparazzi. They're dating. They both are obviously, one's in a very high profile position, and the other one's in 25 levels above that. What do they do? If you ask them, if we got them right here and put them under truth serum, Taylor Swift would say, what did I do? Why is everybody mad at me? Why is everybody mad at Trump?
You're right.
Yeah.
I was thinking about one of my favorite moments from this year's NFL season, and it probably would not have happened if Taylor Swift wasn't there, but it didn't have to do with Taylor Swift. It was after the Chiefs scored the touchdown. They went up to the booth,
Jason Kelce.
and Jason Kelce was celebrating his brother's touchdown with his shirt off, screaming, and the crowd was going nuts. That put such a smile on my face and gave me a feeling of, that's what I love about sports, where this spontaneous stuff pops up. And I don't know, without Taylor Swift, I don't know if they would have had the camera on the booth to see the bare-chested Jason Kelce celebrating in that moment. And that's going to be one of those things I remember for a long time.
There's collateral damage. This is a collateral whatever on the positive side. Collateral benefit.
Right.
There we are.
Yeah. Yeah, I was thinking of memorable moments. One of the guys I'm going to remember really fondly is Rhys Hoskins because of some things that he did with the Phillies that will always be in my mind. The bat slam everyone talks
Home run
about.
against Atlanta.
The other thing that, and unfortunately, the way he went down with his knee was so memorable and shocking to everybody that is something that I'm going to remember. And the way he got started. If you go back to like his first 10 or 13 at-bats, every time he swung the bat, he hit a home run.
That's who he is. He's
like,
a very
wow.
streaky guy. And he, from the get-go, Chris, when he came up 7 years ago, it was obvious that when Rhys Hoskins is hot, he's a guy that you want can carry your team. When Rhys Hoskins is cold, you look and go, oh, my God, what do we – I think part of the reason the Phillies let him go, and I'm on the other side of the fence from you on this one. I covered the Phillies for his first few years. I love Rhys Hoskins personally. He's a wonderful person in the community, he and his wife. He's obviously a good power bat from the right side. He is a terrible first baseman. Metrics aside, baseball will try to convince you otherwise. Anybody who watches him, terrible first baseman. They have Bryce Harper playing first and another DH in the outfield, which confused his situation. Then he gets hurt last year. Well, he's somebody, but he's the streakiness of it. I need somebody a little more consistent. Even if he was consistent, I told people last year he ain't coming back. I like him, but I don't bring people back because I like them. And I'm cold as ice.
I'm not even talking about his overall quality as a player. I'm just talking about those Phillies moments that he was a part of.
It was huge.
And that, I don't know, are going to resonate with me for a while. And I got to say, bad form to the Brewers. A team.
Bad form?
Yes, because they took a promotional video and they had
for the hype video?
Rhys in a Phillies uniform,
Photoshop him?
does the bat slam, and then he turns into his uniform and everything turns into a Brewers uniform.
Welcome to 2024 on the internet.
Blah.
We talked about social media.
Yeah.
There's another example.
Get out of here. And the Brewers, they just wasn't it Ryan Braun, right? He was an MVP guy, and then he was in the I don't know that whole
throwing people under the bus.
Yeah.
What does Ryan Braun have to do?
I guess that's ancient history right now, but it's a Brewers thing.
But are you a kind of guy, Chris? Because I am cold as ice. I think business decisions in sports have to be made without any regard to emotion. I'm not saying if there's a 50-50 call like Brandon Graham and Ernie Graham that you don't tie to the runner, tie to the legacy, or the guy who's great in your city with community or whatever. But this wasn't tie goes to runner. This is trying to help a baseball team get over the top and win a World Series. There's money involved. There's right-handed, left-handed, whatever. I'm letting them go. I'm not bringing somebody back because I like them, ever, no matter who it is. Are you that way or are you the other side?
Well, I don't know. I'm a little bit both. I do start to like players and a guy like Rhys Hoskins, who also seemed like he was a motivator and a guy who was good with his teammates and everything. So those intangibles matter.
Not to me.
No.
And they matter if it's a 50-50 call again.
Right. I mean,
I have not wavered off this opinion one time ever. If you said to me last year, before Rhys Hoskins got hurt, should they re-sign him as a free agent, I would say no, don't even think about it, because you need better defense. You need more consistency. Obviously, the bat flip or the bat spike against Atlanta is one of the most memorable moments in ballpark history. But I'm trying to win a World Series. I'm not trying to make fans smile. They're going to smile already. They're going to smile bigger when we win. And I got to go in a different direction. I'm just not.
Not giving.
I think
a lot
there's more
of,
people like you than people like me, by the way.
Well, a fan who does tend to, I don't know, stick with a guy, and if they have a good walk-up song, I was like,
So a bad hitter with a good walk-up song is fine for you?
Yeah.
Send me under the Mendoza line with your favorite song?
Rhys Hoskins. I don't know. He had he had Bob Marley playing for a couple of years.
Are we really worried about walk-up songs?
Well, that won me over.
We're talking about scrubbing the internet, Taylor Swift and the whole thing with the internet there. Now we're talking about walk-up music. Why don't we just have a kind of a...
Maybe we're due for another break, actually.
Facade of sports. Yeah, we'll take a break, talk about this. We'll come back, talk about Carter Hart, Joel Embiid. Lots of stuff going on in Philly sports.
Hey, if I could, I see if Stephen Lawler back at our WBCB studios, maybe he can play some walk-up music. Stephen Lawler, our studio producer.
One of the FBI's top 15 most wanted. I saw America's Most Wanted last night.
I did not see that episode.
Yeah, he's named the top 15. Stephen is great. Stephen, we people get and listen to these shows and watch TV shows, and you always hear that Joe Buck talk about our great crew and Mike Tirico, everybody. The behind the scenes of which you are, Chris, for most of these shows, behind the scenes people spinning the knobs, turning the dials, so people like me and you can talk and be on the air are beyond thanks. I mean, it's amazing what they do.
I mean, what about your walk-up song? Have you given
My
it a lot of thought?
If I had a walk-up song, what's my favorite song ever? I mean, Born to Run, maybe.
Oh, okay, that's pretty good.
Probably Born to Walk, actually, if they watch me play baseball. But we'll take a little quick walk, quick run. We're here at the Sportsbook, the Gallery Sportsbook at Ocean Casino. It is a beautiful day. It's a beautiful place to be. Come on down here at Ocean Casino. We are back talking more sports right after this. Stay with us.
Go for the pulse and the pools. Go for the hot streak and the hot tubs. Go for a relaxing massage and for wild nights with your entourage. Go to play all day and to dance all night. Go for the rooms with the ocean views that go on forever. Go for paradise with a pair of dice. Go for the win. Go to Ocean Casino Resort. Book your trip at theoceanac.com.
Must be 21 or older. Party responsibly. Gambling problem? Call 1-800-GAMBLER.
This is Tommy Greene from the 1993 National League champion Phillies. And here's the pitch. BCWSA water and sewer customers, you have a new and improved option to pay your bill that's convenient, reliable, and secure. Powered by Invoice Cloud, you can pay your bill 24/7 online, pay by text or phone, or sign up for AutoPay to avoid fees for late or missed payments. Visit bcwsa.net to sign up or for more info. That's bcwsa.net. BCWSA, proven.
Head out to Dion Square, located at South Oxford Valley and South Olds Boulevard, to get all your essentials in one place, with the following businesses ready to serve you: Pat Dion Beverages, CVS Pharmacy, Hair Cuttery, Smile Culture Dental, Biomat, Liberty Auto Tags, Pennsylvania Fine Wine and Spirits, Lee's Hoagie House, R&J Smoothies and Juices, AutoZone, and First National Bank and Trust of Newtown. Make Dion Square your one stop for all your shopping needs at South Oxford Valley Road and South Olds Boulevard in Fairless Hills.
You won't see termites crawling across your floor, but thousands might be devouring the wood in your walls, weakening the structure of your home. For over 50 years, termite proofing and pest control of the Delaware Valley has been in the exterminating business. If you think you have a pest problem, they're the experts. Call them today at 215-639-5455. That's 215-639-5455 for TPPC. Termite proofing and pest control of the Delaware Valley gives your home or business peace of mind, knowing your pest problem is in their hands. Located at 1560 Bristol Pike in Bensalem, they use only EPA-approved material applied by licensed technicians. Call Termite Proofing and Pest Control of the Delaware Valley at 215-639-5455.
Energy costs are skyrocketing. Now is the time to upgrade your old heater and air conditioning systems to more efficient units to save on your utility bills. Harris Comfort can also handle all your propane needs, as well as providing sales and service on whole house generators. Harris Comfort is still family owned and has been serving our area for over 60 years, providing sales, service, installation, and peace of mind. Call 215-788-4596 or go to harriscomfort.com. Harris Comfort, still family and still local.
We now return to All In Live from Ocean Casino and Resort live in Atlantic City. Here's your host, Paul Jolovitz and Chris Ermer.
Thank you very much, Mr. Lawler. That's the voice behind the hands.
Here's our walk-up music.
This is our walk-up music. Can't hear it.
Crank it up.
Crank it up. All right. All right.
Awesome. Higher.
There we are. Higher.
Is that Creed?
I think it is Creed.
Yeah.
Inspirational song. We need an inspirational song right now in Philly, Chris, because a lot of stuff is not necessarily going in the right direction. With the Eagles and the way they finished their season, the Phillies and how they finished their season, obviously spring and autumn blooming. I mean, spring is blooming and Clearwater awaits, and hopefully that'll be better this year. The Sixers look like they were playing great, an MVP candidate, having one of the great years ever, maybe the best player in the world. All of a sudden he gets hurt. Carter Hart situation for the Flyers. Let's talk about the Sixers first. Forget the injury report and the Sixers being fine. That doesn't matter. What do you feel about this 65-game thing that a player has to play? Because it matters in the NBA. There's no sport with more of an individual culture than the NBA. Guys want to win the MVP. It's a big deal. Not that you don't want to win it anywhere else, but to me it's got to be organic. It's got to be in the flow. Winning as a team is first. Now they put the 65-game-in thing to try to limit load management and guys not playing. And Joel Embiid finds himself in a situation where he's kind of skirting the 65 games, plays the other night. He might have wanted to. The team, who knows, hurts his knee, out tonight. Who knows about the future? Probably miss a couple weeks. What's your point of view on the 65-game?
I feel like it's totally unnecessary. You know, you talk about MVP, and you know, you're a guy who really looks at the truth of the matter. It occurs to me.
I try, yeah.
And if a guy was the most valuable player, and he only played 30 games for his team, shouldn't he still deserve that award?
I'd like to see somebody who's that valuable. But yes, in theory, yes. I don't think that's possible in pro sports today. But
and again, to get back to your point about the 65-game rule, and I just think the culture, it's a pendulum. It's going to swing one way, swing the other. If now you may not agree with this, but if the teams have decided that it's beneficial for these guys to sit out, then shouldn't they sit out? And the teams then have the best results later in the season. Now, if you don't agree with that, that's fine. But if that's what these teams have determined.
Well, the problem is, Chris, what if you sit a guy out and he's playing he's going to play this game, not play this game, blah, blah, blah. First, the fans with the tickets, it obviously affects them. But second of all, Bob sits out, Joel sits out, and now 2 days later he really gets hurt and he's going to miss 5-6 games. You're always thinking about those 17 games he can miss. Where are we going to give him the load management? I want to point out, by the way, speaking of load management, there's a game we forgot here in 2 weeks, the Super Bowl.
Oh, yeah, I heard about that.
Super Bowl 58.
Go Taylor Swift.
Go Taylor Swift is right. Go Travis Kelce. Go Chiefs. The Big Game Hotel Package. The Ocean Casino Resort right here in Atlantic City is the ultimate destination to catch the big game. Book the Big Game Hotel Package. Enjoy an overnight stay in a contemporary King Room. $30 food and beverage credit to the Gallery and Balcony Bar where we are now. Only available Sunday, February 11th at Ocean Casino Resort in Atlantic City. To book your stay, visit theoceanac.com.
Oh, man, this place is going to be
for the Super Bowl?
Great.
Yeah.
You know, all these TVs and a little action. Get a little action going.
You think every TV at 6:30, because nobody programs against the Super Bowl for obvious reasons. You think at 6:30 in 2 weeks, any of these TVs is on anything else? Is anybody having like the World Croquet Championships, darts? We see everything here. Do you bother with the Super Bowl? Do you do anything against it?
No. I think it's all Super Bowl, wall to wall.
Should be.
Yeah, the Puppy Bowl.
Are you a pickleball guy?
No.
John McEnroe?
I'm against pickleball. They have the Super Slam coming up with John McEnroe and Andre Agassi.
Steffi Graf and Agassi against McEnroe and Sharapova, yeah.
The yuck. What a money grab.
Everything's a money grab. Life's a money grab, right?
Well, real tennis is real tennis. It's not a money grab. Like the Wimbledon, yeah, kind of a money grab, but also a legitimate tennis tournament.
Well,
so this is just a
what's pickleball,
goofball.
fake tennis?
Pretty much.
It's just a smaller. I know a lot of people who love pickleball because then, as you get older and maybe can't cover a tennis court.
Ugh.
To me, I have no problem with pickleball. I'm not sure what the craze is of it, the insanity.
I guess as I'm the
going?
contrarian. I say, if everybody's going one way,
well, there's
I'm
no
going
problem
the other
with
way.
it. I'm generally a contrarian too, but Brady's bought into it. LeBron James bought into it. By the way, Brady's going to be doing the Super Bowl as a color analyst next year. Saw him on Pat McAfee the other day talking about it.
Well, he's got to be better than Tony Romo because all your comments you made earlier, I agree with 100,000%. And I even think the credit he was given in the beginning of his career was overblown, and some of the stuff that he was credited with was that he was predicting.
Right, yeah.
Right, but those were. Even that to guess the play, that's not what you want your color analyst to do.
He's right all the time you do. It's the whole thing of football. If your defense coordinator guess what the offense is going to run, that's good.
I don't know. I guess so. But at this point,
well,
how could Jim Nantz stand him? That's what I think of. I mean, I call a couple games on WBCB. We got to go to break for the news here in a little bit.
All
but
right.
Anyway, that's not the same thing as calling the Super Bowl with Tony Romo, but I don't know. I don't like his style.
I don't like Tony Romo's style either, and it rubs me the wrong way, and he's doing the game next week, and we will see. Speaking of Tony Romo, we got to take a quick break, but I'm going to talk about somebody who's not doing the game this week, but somebody who has less vowels in their name than Tony Romo, and that's Leonard Skinner. The Rock and Roll Hall of Famers Leonard Skinner returned to Ocean Casino Resort right here in Atlantic City Friday, June 28th, with over 60 albums, sales beyond 30 million worldwide, and named one of the 100 greatest artists of all time by Rolling Stone. Leonard Skinner remains the staple of American classic rock. Come celebrate the 50th anniversary of Leonard Skinner Friday, June 28th at Ocean Casino Resort in Atlantic City. For tickets, visit theoceanac.com. It's all going on here. The Gallery Bar and Sportsbook in Atlantic City. Take a quick break, come back. Paul Jolovitz and Chris Ermer.
Leonard Skinner named after
no idea.
Their teacher.
Really?
Yeah.
Without the vowels, right?
Mr. Skinnerd.
Mr. Skinnerd, all right. We'll try to get him. Don't think we'll find him during the break. We'll come back with a lot of other stuff right after this. Stay with us.
You're listening to 1490 WBCB, Levittown, Fairless Hills, Trenton, and now heard as well on FM at 107.3 FM, W297CL, Levittown.
Order that targets Israeli settlers in the West Bank who've been attacking Palestinians. This is National Security Council spokesman John Kirby.
This is a direct answer to the dramatic increase in violence that we've seen by settlers on Palestinians in the West Bank since the 7th of October.
A top UK diplomat says Britain could recognize a Palestinian state before a peace deal is worked out with Israel. Leaders of the 27 European Union countries have sealed a deal to provide Ukraine with $54 billion in support. Testifying in Michigan in her involuntary manslaughter trial is Jennifer Crumley. Her son Ethan shot and killed 4 students at Oxford High School in 2021. Crumley and husband James are accused of making a gun accessible at home and ignoring their son's mental health needs. She was asked about her relationship with her son.
We would talk, we did a lot of things together. I trusted him, and I felt like I had an open door and he can come to me about anything.
The jury saw Ethan Crumley's journal where he blamed his parents for not getting him help. Defense Secretary Lloyd Austin is opening up about his prostate cancer diagnosis.
I don't think it's news that I'm a pretty private guy. I never liked burdening others with my problems. It's just not my way. But I've learned from this experience. So taking this kind of job means losing some of the privacy that most of us expect.
Austin says he never directed anyone on his staff not to tell the White House he'd been hospitalized and takes full responsibility for keeping President Biden in the dark for weeks. Heavy rain flooded roadways and much needed snow piled up in the mountains as the first back-to-back atmospheric rivers pummeled California. A group of employees and teachers from a Kentucky middle school who bought a $1 million Powerball winning ticket tucked it in a math textbook for safekeeping before claiming the prize. This is AP News.
As a mom, comforting my family is what I do best. Vicks Vapor Stick provides soothing, non-medicated Vicks vapors in an easy-to-apply stick. And it dries fast, so there's no mess. I use it to comfort myself and my family.
Thanks, Mom.
Vicks Vapo Stick, soothing comfort for the whole family. And when you need more comfort for yourself, try Vicks Vapo Shower for steamy Vicks vapors.
Use as directed. Vapo Stick for use ages 4 and up. Vapo Shower use for adults only.
Psst. Hey, Mark, remember, getting help from Progressive is so easy. You can use the mobile app, chat with us online, or call us.
And you pick now to tell me.
I couldn't miss Little Grace's ballet recital. Oh, thanks for inviting me, by the way.
Did I?
Because you know I'm always here for you.
Yeah. I can use the mobile app if I need help. Sorry, you're in my wife's seat, though?
Oh, yeah, I gotta go anyway. Tell Grace she nailed her chassé.
Get the help you need from Progressive with our mobile app, online chat, or over the phone. Progressive Casualty Insurance Company, affiliates, and other insurers. Not available in all states. Other insurers not available in all states.
Research may explain why women more than men come down with autoimmune diseases like lupus and rheumatoid arthritis. Here's the AP's Jackie Quinn.
Tens of millions of Americans have an autoimmune disorder in which the body attacks itself, and about 80% of those patients are women. A new theory published in the journal Cell suggests that's because women have 2 X chromosomes. Men only have 1. That extra X could be providing a toxic double dose of certain genes. They're supposed to be deactivated by a special type of RNA. A Stanford University dermatologist detected links to skin-related autoimmune disorders, eventually able to duplicate the process in male mice using the X chromosome. This research could lead to better ways to help detect autoimmunity. I'm Jackie Quinn.
And I'm Ed Donahue, AP News.
We now return to All In Live from Oceans Casino Resort in Atlantic City for hour number 2. Here are your hosts, Paul Jolovitz and Chris Ermer.
Thank you very much, Stephen Lawler, and happy February, everybody. February 1st, done with the first month of the year. Did you get 1/12 of what you wanted to get done this year, Chris, done in January?
Yeah, I'd say so, probably. Now up to bat, Stephen Lawler.
Stephen Lawler. If I told you my cousin played Carnegie Hall last night, would you believe me?
Yeah. They play the kazoo?
No, he's a magician. He's the greatest magician to me ever. I'm his cousin, but his name is Joshua J. He has been the world close-up magic champion 4 or 5 times. He fooled Penn and Teller. John Dornbos of the Eagles. We bonded the first day in the locker room 10 years ago because John knew Josh. Josh's been a freakazoid since he was 8. He's 40 now, but played Carnegie Hall last night. Pretty good stuff.
Yeah.
Most of the family went up. I did not because I had a job to do in Atlantic City today. We will see him later this month in New York.
That's awesome.
Yeah,
that
real
is
good
awesome.
stuff. He's really awesome. Also, happy Groundhog Day. Punxsutawney Phil comes out tomorrow. You think he sees his shadow or not?
I don't know. This feels like Groundhog Day with these Sixers and Joel Embiid and that whole scenario.
So where do you stand, Chris? Were the Sixers at fault? Is Embiid at fault? Is the 65-game system at fault? What happens with the Sixers now? Do they go all in at the trade deadline, and which is next Thursday, the 8th? Is Daryl Morey? Do you wait till the summer we have more assets? It's thrown the Sixers into a massive. What do we do?
Well, I mean, the 65-game thing, I don't think is part of the picture. I think
that's affected to this point. That has nothing to do with going forward, but that played in the.
I don't believe it did.
I do.
I do not think that it played into them. I don't even. Why would he want to play? I just think
he wants to win an MVP.
Is huge speculation.
It is for sure. You're right. But Joel has let it be known that he values, and I'm not saying you shouldn't.
I mean, this year
it.
He's been saying I want a title. Right?
Sometimes.
So, I mean, if you're going by what he said before and how upset you were about that, isn't he saying all the right things?
No, some of the right things. I mean, Halliburton of Indiana, same thing. It's a problem league-wide. You know, Paul Reed said he didn't sign any papers with it. I don't think you had to sign it. The union agreed to it. It's going to be a huge.
I just don't. I think you are speculating to believe that played into the Sixers or Joel's thinking in any way, shape, or form.
Yeah,
especially in the fact that they have multiple games left over. He volunteered to sit out in Denver, right? I mean, that was kind of a.
Apparently.
I don't even know what that was, but.
Well, that's where they got fined with the injury report, but. Obviously,
if you're worried about this 65 games, you don't take an intentional game off.
Well, you do if you really can't play. I mean, my guess, and that's kind of water under the bridge right now, it doesn't matter. What really matters is the championship and whether he's right for the playoffs. His historic year.
That's the thing that's driving me so nuts, Paul, is that you talk about how I get attached to athletes.
Yep.
I love Joel Embiid.
So do I.
And who he is as a player, and you go back to when he was drafted and
Chris,
his foot, and he sat for 3 years, and what was he going to be? And
there's one person in Philadelphia, and you're sitting next to him, that in 2014 was dying for the Sixers to draft. If they got the first pick in the process, so to speak, Joel Embiid, center, Kansas. He hurt his foot, didn't play in the NCAA tournament that year. I didn't want Andrew Wiggins. I didn't want Jabari Parker, who were the first 2 picks. I've been in love with him, basketball-wise, since the get-go. Since then, obviously, a lot has come to the forefront. Some people said he's the ultimate tease. Great while he's there, but not dependable. Do you think, yes or no, and there's a million factors that go into this.
The human body is not dependable.
You're
and
right.
That's why
some are more dependable
I'm bristling
than
at these criticisms that sound like it's a criticism of the man.
No, I agree
not
with
just
you 100%.
but
not me.
Other people. The talk around the city and around Joel Embiid is sometimes that it's a fragility or there's a.
I don't think that fragility is the issue. I think the softness.
He doesn't have a want to. Or
yeah. It's hard to say whether that's fair or not. I mean, obviously you'd like to err on the side of the human being in that side, but I'm going to ask you a simple question right now. If Daryl Morey makes the right moves, if they get a shooter, a 3D guy, 3-and-D guy, another rebounder, people don't get hurt. Obviously, the situation in the East, Doc Rivers just took over in Milwaukee.
You're asking the wrong guy, because I go back to my Eagles prediction where I say I always see it as optimistic, and as things come together, I'm assuming you're going to say,
can they win a championship with Joel?
Yes.
So where's the window? Do you, if you're Daryl Morey?
I mean, maybe if they didn't pick so many crumb-bum draft picks during the time when Joel Embiid was a Sixer.
What's done is done, though.
Yes, but, I mean, I'm saying he's never had a great team around him. Has there been the whole Ben Simmons thing is still a scar on Philadelphia basketball.
I think they can win a title around him, but they haven't. Until they haven't. I mean,
there I go to, like, Daryl Morey and those guys. And
next week's the trade deadline, Chris. Hockey, it's March 8th. Basketball, February 8th. The All-Star game not till the 18th. I mean, they got to decide right now.
They got to get something.
He's had an MRI. I've never heard of a guy who had an MRI and they're still not sure what's wrong, whether it's just a pain thing, whatever it is. But if they can get Joel back for April, and everything should be getting him back for April. If he has to take some time off now, who cares? But do you take that full shot? This show is called All In. If you're the Sixers, do you push all in, use a lot of assets to acquire something now? Or in the summer when you have a little more leverage and more money and more to play with, do you wait till then? I go all in. If I think he's going to be ready for April, you never know. You can't move. I mean, he's got a prime that who knows how long it'll be. I don't want to wait another year. The future is now to me. I'm going all in now if I think I got any shot at all.
I tend to agree with you. I don't know. Tough decisions. I mean, that's why they get paid the big money, because I believe that Joel Embiid still can have a long career. That
a long prime?
Yes.
He's clearly in his prime right now.
And he has a game where he doesn't need to be super dominant. He is such a good shooter that he can be an NBA player for a long, long time.
An NBA player, but an NBA superstar.
Maybe not, but I mean, he can stay. He can be an important factor in a championship team for many, many years to come.
Batman?
Well,
that's the key, I think. They got to build around Joel. They're not building Joel around Ted.
I mean, when you had James Harden, you have that kind of dual Batman kind of thing or whatever.
No, you didn't.
Well, I mean, that was the concept. It may not have worked out,
James
and it
Harden's
may have been
not out for the Butler.
A couple of years after James Harden was in his prime, but
James Harden was never in his prime because he's never caused a team to win. But you have Maxey now, and is Tobias Harris a third guy? The bench is stronger. Oubre, Batum, you got some other injuries, but you could get Zach LaVine, somebody else. Should Morey be in the next week? Should we expect a big Sixer deal? Hoping that Joe's healthy, hoping that all the Ducks line up in a row, and that the first couple weeks of April we turn on the TV saying, "This is our best shot. Let's roll."
I mean, didn't they kind of go into this year taking a year off to some degree, like with the players they went in to this season with?
Not really. Not after the Harden deal. I mean, salary cap-wise, a lot of stuff comes off the books this year. But to me, you can't take a year off with Joel because you're taking a year off of somebody who's clearly gets hurt a lot. The years are precious. I can't just take a year off. I got to go and then you see how he's playing this year. I ain't taking a year off. No way.
Well, I don't necessarily disagree. I just think Joel has a much longer shelf life, and if, again, you get the money coming off the cap and you can make a blockbuster deal where
they have assets,
you can change the face of this team while also keeping this MVP. I don't know. I
definitely don't trade
so
Joel.
Attractive.
Yeah, I mean, there are people that say trade Joel. To me, those people are nuts. Rebuild. We see what rebuilding can be with different teams in our city.
You bring in Jeff Hornacek and say goodbye to Charles Barkley. See how that works out.
Well, you let a Joel go. I mean, how many people in the NBA are really Batman potential on a championship team? Not very many. You said we're going to trade Joel like you're going to get another Joel. Having 5 really good players, that doesn't work in the NBA. You need superstars. If you get lucky enough to get one, however that is, you don't just discard them when you get them. That, to me, is irresponsible. Malpractice even to talk about.
But I love Joel Embiid, so I can't think of a lot of deals that make sense where you would say goodbye to Joel Embiid.
I can't either.
And they, no.
All right. Well, we got to talk about other things, and we have a limited amount of time here. Obviously, Sixers talk will go on. They play in Utah tonight. Not a very successful road trip. Lost their last 3. Final game of a 5-gamer. Flyers, meanwhile, have a different situation, Chris. They are in a 5-game skid going to the All-Star break. The All-Star game Saturday in Toronto with Travis Konechny there. They re-signed Ryan Poehling and Owen Tippett to extensions, which is good. A lot of their foundation. But the 18,000-pound elephant in the room, which I feel bad for Danny Briere and Keith Jones. How are they supposed to know what to do? Is Carter Hart. Where do you start with this one?
Well, let's start on the ice stuff. They have a very, very good backup goalie.
I'm not sure he's a backup. I think he's a starter.
Right. So they have
1A.
A quality
Sam
guy
Ersson.
to fill the void as far as the duties on the ice are concerned.
And that's depth, and that's good scouting, that's good management. If somebody gets hurt, next man up, for whatever reason the guy can't play, very few teams have another number one to step in. Flyers are blessed in that regard.
Yeah, I mean, to try to separate the on-the-ice stuff from the off-the-ice stuff, I think is got to be extremely challenging for Tortorella, dealing with the personalities and his team. But right now it just seems like a coincidence that Carter Hart's news came out, this 5-game skid started, they're playing good teams.
Yep.
I don't know. I just think it's kind of a fluky thing that seems like it's connected, but really isn't necessarily connected.
You never know, Chris. You're talking about the psyche of a team. I mean, Carter Hart, he knew about this for the last 6 years. This happened 6 years ago, and the investigation stopped and started.
Well, the other thing that I'm learning is that it sounds like a lot of people knew about this for some time.
I did. I knew about it since it happened.
Yeah. Well, then speculation that even if they wanted to move Carter Hart, that it was an asset that ended up being valueless because people knew that this was eventually
Correct.
coming down the road.
Whether they wanted to move him or not, we talked last night on the ice about it. We had Wayne Fish from the All-Time Morning Call, great beat writer who wrote Chris Terrian's book, wrote Brian Propp's book, along with Brad Marsh, and they were saying, and we agreed, that if Carter Hart had been on, if you're so impressed with Ersson, want to flip Carter Hart, get more to your rebuild, Carter Hart was toxic earlier this year because everybody knew this could happen, whether it would or when it would. Nobody knew. Nobody's going to trade a lot for a guy that may not be here tomorrow.
And you think about the job Danny Briere is doing now, because you have 2 toxic assets. You have Gauthier, who he didn't want to come.
Yep.
And I think a lot of people
forgot
knew
about
that.
him already, huh?
Yeah. Well, I guess they made a pretty good deal.
Yeah, they did make a good deal. Looks like we'll see. We'll see how Gauthier is. We'll see how Drysdale is. But continue.
And Carter Hart, that I think there was more known within the league about what was going on there, and
great point. Yep.
Had to cloud the waters when it came to those guys as tradable assets, and so that's.
What does it say about the Flyers?
Those guys are doing a pretty good job when you see how they're playing. And
exactly right. What is it? And my question was going to be, before you said that, which was a wonderful comment. What does it say about the Flyers that with a 5-game losing streak, 2 toxic assets, that we're talking about the Flyers right now? They must be doing something right. Danny Briere's done a hell of a job.
They are doing something.
Done a hell of a job.
No question. But it kind of felt like, Brad Marsh last night, who was your co-host and was hanging out with Wayne Fish on the ice show, was starting to. I'll use.
Boyd, let me interrupt for 1 second.
Yes.
We want to leverage the place we are. We're at the Ocean Sportsbook, Gallery Sportsbook, and Casino at Ocean Casino. Sometimes you just want to go in a different direction with a quick random question. We have on one of the shows up here, one of the TV shows on these beautiful screens we're looking at, something that has nothing to do with what Chris and I are talking about now, but they're asking us, so I'll ask you, Chris Dermer, what is Brock Purdy's ceiling?
Oh, my gosh. I mean, he's favored to be a Super Bowl champion at this point, so
don't think too many people are saying he's better than Mahomes.
No. But that's already motion picture kind of stuff. Like, wow,
Mr.
this guy
Irrelevant.
is the last player drafted in the NFL.
Yep.
Gets picked up has won already. His success might be worthy of a motion picture or that kind of treatment.
Who plays Brock Purdy?
I don't know. I think might be me.
You want to play Brock Purdy?
Sure.
What would you ask for? What would your agent ask Spielberg or whatever, whoever the director of the company was doing the picture?
Well, I'm still kind of green, so I'll just do it for residuals.
All right. I don't think movies have residuals.
But anyway, now I forgot even what we were talking
What's
about
Brock
before.
Purdy's ceiling?
Oh, that. I mean, is there a higher ceiling than a Super Bowl champion?
Well, yeah, because a personal ceiling. I mean, Trent Dilfer won a Super Bowl. I think there's quarterbacks that are better than Trent Dilfer. It's a team sport, obviously with individual within that. There's no higher ceiling for a team than winning a Super Bowl. But if you said, would you rather have Patrick Mahomes or Brock Purdy, unless your last name is Purdy, there's nobody on the planet that's going to say they'd rather have Brock Purdy.
Even the Purdy family.
Even the Purdy family might.
They want Mahomes.
We'll take Patrick. Brock, go to your room. Yep.
No, I mean, I think he's already proven his ability in the league.
Pretty good last Sunday. Didn't make mistakes. Didn't turn the ball over.
And last season.
And obviously hurt in the Eagle game.
Right.
But a lot of people don't like him because we don't like the Niners and he sucks and blah, blah, blah. I think Purdy's a pretty good little player. He's obviously a system quarterback on a team with great players, but I think he does plenty as well. He's not just plug and play.
And as much as system quarterback and game manager can be a negative criticism thrown at players, man, for a quarterback, I kind of want those attributes over the gunslinger and
not over Mahomes, I hope.
No,
he's unbelievable.
Right, but I mean that's the outlier. You know what I mean? Yeah, I don't know. I think
remember this year we were talking about
Tom Brady is kind of a system quarterback in a lot of ways. I mean, that might be like hot take-ish and a little bit of an exaggeration, but
you had
his skill set wasn't that. He operated well within the context, and that's what made him so successful.
But Kansas City, you took away Tyreek Hill, obviously. You draft Rasheed Rice in the second round. Veets, the general manager, leaves Andy Reid without the kind of offense. Andy Reid reinvents himself. Spagnuolo, a great defensive coordinator who's getting better with age, throws a game plan at the Ravens. I mean, the Chiefs are not all that. They have to play on the road, the whole Travis Kelce thing. And who's in the Super Bowl again? The Chiefs.
We're going to take a break here in a little bit.
Are the Chiefs a dynasty before we take a break?
Oh, yeah.
Fourth Super Bowl in 5 years.
Yeah. Hey, Steve, if you could go back and erase the part of the tape where I said Tom Brady was a system quarterback, I would appreciate that.
There we are. We're going to bring in a guy who's a dynasty himself. His name is Ben Jones from Bucks County Sewer and Water Authority. He sponsors our show. He'll be on in a couple minutes to tell us what he thinks of Brock Purdy, of Patrick Mahomes, of Nick Sirianni, and everything in the world of sports. Big sports fan. We are at the Ocean Casino in Atlantic City, the Gallery Bar and Sportsbook, watching everything in the world, everybody in the world, and all the lights in the world. It's a great atmosphere. Come on down here. Join us when we come back. 2 seconds, we'll be back with you. Stay with us.
Go for the pulse and the pools. Go for the hot streak and the hot tubs. Go for a relaxing massage and for wild nights with your entourage. Go to play all day and to dance all night. Go for the rooms with the ocean views that go on forever. Go for paradise with a pair of dice. Go for the win. Go to Ocean Casino Resort. Book your trip at theoceanac.com.
Must be 21 or older. Party responsibly. Gambling problem? Call 1-800-GAMBLER.
BCWSA customers, former Phillies pitcher Tommy Greene here. I played on the 1993 National League champs, so I know a thing or two about what it's like playing on a winning team. BCWSA has all the ingredients. They make it easy for their customers to get automatic updates by text, email, or phone anytime there is a disruption in your service area. You can even customize your alerts by going to bcwsa.net. That's bcwsa.net. BCWSA, your partner for a safer environment. BCWSA, proven.
Head out to Dion Square, located at South Oxford Valley and South Olds Boulevard, to get all your essentials in one place, with the following businesses ready to serve you: Pat Dion Beverages, CVS Pharmacy, Hair Cuttery, Smile Culture Dental, Biomat, Liberty Auto Tags, Pennsylvania Fine Wine and Spirits, Lee's Hoagie House, R&J Smoothies and Juices, AutoZone, and First National Bank and Trust of Newtown. Make Dion Square your one stop for all your shopping needs at South Oxford Valley Road and South Olds Boulevard in Fairless Hills.
You won't see termites crawling across your floor, but thousands might be devouring the wood in your walls, weakening the structure of your home. For over 50 years, termite proofing and pest control of the Delaware Valley has been in the exterminating business. If you think you have a pest problem, they're the experts. Call them today at 215-639-5455. That's 215-639-5455 for TPPC. Termite proofing and pest control of the Delaware Valley gives your home or business peace of mind, knowing your pest problem is in their hands. Located at 1560 Bristol Pike in Bensalem, they use only EPA-approved material applied by licensed technicians.
Could you give us
Call
an
termite
extra
proofing
minute?
And pest control of the Delaware Valley at 215-639-5455.
Yeah, I got you guys.
Thank you.
Energy costs are skyrocketing. Now's the time to upgrade your old heater and air conditioning systems to more efficient units to save on your utility bills. Harris Comfort can also handle all your propane needs, as well as providing sales and service of whole house generators. Harris Comfort is still family owned and has been serving our area for over 60 years, providing sales, service, installation, and peace of mind. Call 215-788-4596 or go to harriscomfort.com. Harris Comfort, still family and still local. With over 7,200 square feet of 200 brewers in stock at all times, Pat Dion Beverages now features 5 different flavors of their favorite slushy cocktails. You can also purchase all your wine, liquor, and other fine spirits right next door. Visit us on Facebook or online at patdionbeverages.com for upcoming events and samples from your favorite brewery or local food vendor.
This is Tommy Greene from the 1993 National League champion Phillies. And here's the pitch. BCWSA water and sewer customers, you have a new and improved option to pay your bill that's convenient, reliable, and secure. Powered by Invoice Cloud, you can pay your bill 24/7 online, pay by text or phone, or sign up for AutoPay to avoid fees for late or missed payments. Visit bcwsa.net to sign up or for more info. That's bcwsa.net. BCWSA, proven.
Head out to Dion Square, located at South Oxford Valley and South Olds Boulevard, to get all your essentials
we should be
in
good
one
after this
place,
one.
with the following businesses
Sounds good.
ready to serve you: Pat Dion Beverages, CVS Pharmacy, Hair Cuttery, Smile Culture Dental, Biomat, Liberty Auto Tags, Pennsylvania Fine Wine and Spirits, Lee's Hoagie House, R&J Smoothies
After this
and
spot.
Juices, AutoZone, and First National Bank and Trust of Newtown. Make Dion Square your one stop for all your shopping needs at South Oxford Valley Road and South Olds Boulevard in Fairless Hills.
We now return to All In with Paul Jolovitz, broadcasting live in Atlantic City.
We are broadcasting live in Atlantic City from the Ocean Casino Resort, the Gallery Book and Sports Bar, courtesy of Bucks County Water and Sewer Authority, who sponsors this show, and the CEO of said organization, who's with us each time. Down here is a guy whose name I can't pronounce. I try over and over and over again. Merrill Reese always says, work on pronunciation, don't ever mispronounce the name. Is it Ben Jones? Is that how you pronounce that?
Yeah, I think so.
All right. How are you?
I'm pretty good. How are you?
So last time I'll say this year, it's February 1st, but Happy New Year.
Same to you.
Haven't seen you.
It's been a little while. Yeah.
Yep.
Been a busy year.
Been a busy year, good in some ways, bad in some ways.
Yeah.
Let me ask you a question before we get to the Eagles and everything else. Question just up on the TV. We're leveraging the Ocean Casino Sportsbook here because they're asking questions and we're re-asking them. Right up now, how much will the Cowboys miss Quinn? Forget about that one. Brock Purdy, what do you think?
You know, after the last playoff game, I mean, he looked great, and he also started using his legs, which I think really
Big
helps
time.
a lot.
Yep.
And you know, he had time, played quality teams. You know, I think he's very good. I mean, obviously, I'm not a San Francisco fan, but nonetheless, you have to give credit where credit's due.
Christo?
Yeah, he's pretty good.
Pretty good. There we are. He's in the
And
Super
there it
Bowl
is.
next week, yep.
Yeah, I did it.
But back closer to home, Ben, we got the Eagles, which could be a 12-hour show by itself. We got all kinds of people milling around here.
All right, hold on. Would you exchange a Purdy for a Hurts?
Not Brock Purdy for Jalen Hurts, no. What, are you kidding me?
Well, I mean, he's in the Super Bowl right now.
It's not a
And he had another great
sport.
year. And
Yeah,
our
very
quarterback had a year.
Yeah, I don't care if Jalen Hurts goes 12 levels below where he is now. He's still better than Brock Purdy. No.
Based on
he's just a better player. He didn't have a horrible year. Defense, we'll let Ben figure this. You break the tie here.
I'm with you.
Can't believe I'm tied here.
Believe it or not, I'm actually with you. I wouldn't give up Hurts at this point. The Eagles have a lot of problems that they have to work out.
He's not
necessarily the problem.
I agree.
mean, he's got no time and he's got no blocking. I mean, people figured it out. I mean, bottom line, you've got 6-7 people rushing him. We got 5 people that can cover.
You said something there that really is a key to the statement about figuring it out, Ben. You're a CEO, and the NFL is about adjustments. It's about a defensive coordinator going to the game tape of the Eagles and saying, how do we blitz the Eagles? Obviously, the entire year they were blitzed, kept turning the ball over. The red zone, blah, 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 didn't work. The Eagles didn't adjust anything. How do you adjust? When you have a problem in your company, don't you have to do something about it? The worst thing in the world is to say, the old Joe Banner insanity, we're going to do the same thing over and over again and hope different things happen. The Eagles didn't do that, did they?
No, they didn't. And actually, if you look at it, you got to – anybody that's building a team, anybody that's building a team in business or whatever else, you got to look at what you do well and what the things that you don't do well. And it starts with that. And that changes all the time because especially when you got players' performance that's not consistent, okay, or injuries that are going to cause problems associated with it. So, I mean, I think what we needed to do is we needed to take a good look at the things that weren't working. And, you can go through defensive coordinators, you can bring in Matt Patricia or whatever, and, obviously that wasn't the answer. But the answer really was about what are our weaknesses. I mean, we have some weaknesses. We weren't able to pick up the blitzes, all right? We didn't have anybody in the short territory to throw
tackle.
to. And tackling, we're not even going to get to the defensive portion of it. We'll talk about the offense, and we'll talk about some of the problems that Hurts ran into. I mean, everybody figured out that Hurts is a much better quarterback when he runs to the right. When he runs to the left, he has problems. He can't get the strength off. You've seen some of that. And unfortunately, that left the ball in the air too long, left it short, and that caused some problems. So, again, if he couldn't run out of the way and he couldn't get in a position where he was able to make a number of yards, dumping the ball off, there weren't a lot of options. If you looked out on the replays, those people were covered almost all the time. It wasn't like he was missing opportunities.
All right, well, I'm just taking the liberty of doing something that I'm not sure I have the liberty to do, but Lee Alexander I've deputized as the court clerk in this case. Now, Lee has arranged to change your name, Ben Jones, to Jeffrey Lurie. And now that you're Jeffrey Lurie, you have sole decision after the season, a repeat of Lurie's decision. He kept Nick Sirianni. He asked him to change his coaches. Nick was neutered, basically, did what Doug Peterson didn't do. Do you give Nick Sirianni that chance? Do you fire Nick Sirianni as the CEO? Do you keep him? Which way would you have gone, do you think, obviously with input from others?
You asking me or Lee?
You, because your name is now Jeffrey Lurie.
So, yeah, I think that unfortunately with the record that we had early in the season, I think that you look at what Sirianni did, which was somewhat of a carry-through, and of course we lost both the offensive and defensive coordinators, so you have to look at that and say, all right, give him some time to work something out. I think there's probably a lot of people that said, hey, listen, Sirianni's the problem. And you know what? It always ends up with the person that's in charge. So Laurie's got to make that decision just like I have to make those decisions. But at some point, you have to give him at least the opportunity to fix the problem. And with the loss of both our offensive and defensive coordinators in the beginning of the year, we ran out what they had, and we didn't make adjustments. It was that
all
simple.
year, though. He had all year to fix the problems on offense, on defense, the
Right.
tackling, the blitzes, the turnovers by Jalen, the self-doubt of Jalen, more problems on defense. In other words, I think that he did have time to fix the problems and didn't. How much of a mulligan? Chris and I were talking about this. Obviously, somebody can do a great job for you and then turn for whatever reason, and you think something's broken. They're not going to be able to fix it. They were great before for whatever reason, but I don't want them going forward. To me, it doesn't matter that Nick got to the Super Bowl last year. He's the wrong guy going forward. I'm probably looking at it in an ingrained way. Nick's a good guy. I have no problem with him. A lot of the players speak highly of him. But basically, how much of a mulligan does someone get, or might someone get, in your mind? Does that ever happen with you?
Yeah. Unfortunately, things happen in people's lives. And you know, it could be personal issues. It could be team issues. Did he learn from that? That's the question, okay? The opportunities internally with the staff, the players, as it may be, did he learn from what he did? Did he learn? I mean, what we don't know is what goes on in the locker room.
Correct.
And I think you give him that mulligan this year for most of the year and see if he can repair it. And the other side of it, to be honest with you, if you're Jeff Lurie at this point, who else would you put in there as the head coach?
I can never, I know you're a CEO and I'm not, I can never hire somebody or go forward with somebody because I can't find an alternative. I mean, I guess it's theoretically possible, but there's a million coaches out there, young coordinators, ex-coaches, Bill Belichick, whatever. I'm never going to keep.
That would be a no.
maybe a no for everybody, but I'm never going to keep a guy, barring some kind of exception to every rule. But I don't want to keep a guy because he's the least putrid of the alternatives.
Well, that may be, but you also have to look at what are you going to bring in? You're going to bring in somebody that's untested. You're going to bring in somebody that essentially is today's flavor, because whatever that is,
that's who Sirianni was 3 years ago.
But they figured that out. Okay, so at this point, you've got a seasoned coach, okay, and you've made some adjustments. You're giving him a shot to fix it. If he doesn't fix it, we've got a lot of changes in players coming up too. And let us not talk about what we need to do in terms of linebackers.
And
that's been our biggest problem throughout the season.
To that, and I'm going to let Nick go forward. We'll see what happens with the new coordinators. Draft 22, 50, and 53. Howie knows he's not prioritized linebackers, the back seven, both on a talent and salary cap level. Do you see them going all defense in the draft? Obviously, you got free agency before that. What kind of tape do you think they're watching in Novacare right now? Obviously, you want to take the best available player, but it had to slant toward defense, doesn't it?
I think so. I mean, you look at our offensive line. We've got opportunities right now, at least for another season. We don't know what Kelsey's ultimately going to do. I mean, it's been back and forth and so forth. And we've got an older line at this point, but they're not bad. They're pretty good. And we need some help. We need to be able to have somebody pick up some of those folks coming in. I think we need to play more tight ends, and get some support there to help.
What do you mean play
blocking.
more tight ends?
Well,
2 and 3 tight ends teams?
Two and three possibly, yes. Three, depending on which.
You're not talking about on the roster. You're talking about on the field at once.
On the field,
okay.
Right. I mean, what you need is some blockers and also some outlets. But, again, that's to get them out of that trouble so that you're not blitzing 7 people and then not having any linebackers, to cover when somebody else is in that same position.
Ben, the other thing we were talking about earlier, I'd love to get your take on this. What do you see as the role of a leader where you have an offensive coordinator that basically is doing everything with that side of the football, a defensive coordinator that's taking care of that stuff? Mm-hmm. What's Sirianni going to be doing? What do you envision his role? Or I don't know. It almost seems like he's got nothing to do.
Well, but that's not true. And that's the difference between somebody that's in charge and, every day, what makes you great and what your job is. And I don't care in business or anything else, for me, it's the same thing. You have to be able to not just do those things. You need to be able to trust that to other folks to be able to accomplish those goals and add new things in. What he needs to do is to have those two people work together along with him and strategize and look at this from a perspective of saying, okay, we got our offensive coordinator and our defensive coordinator. Where's this interconnection, and how are we going to then address the issues jointly?
Stop there for 1 second.
It's not just one's doing one thing, the other one's doing it, and there's no communication.
You're exactly right, and we said there has to be some collaboration with obviously both offensive defense coordinators. Fangio.
I don't think we said it that well.
Well, Kellen Moore, collaboration there has to be, but have you ever been in a situation in any kind of environment, Ben, where you didn't hire your executive vice president for whatever? It's his. Kellen Moore has been given the offense side of the ball. Play caller, sculpt the offense, whatever. Vic Fangio, same thing with the defense. Sirianni can sit in all the meetings he wants, do whatever he wants. But if he says, guys, I want to do this, and yes, it'd be nice to collaborate, but if you can't do anything to change that, he's basically your boss, although he's under you on the depth chart. Have you ever been in a situation where that kind of got jumbled and
Oh,
confused?
absolutely. I mean, I think anybody that's coming up through the ranks and ultimately gets into a leadership position, it's very rare that somebody gives you complete control. And honestly, a head coach or the CEO isn't always the best person for that. In my job, most of my job is vision. It's not operations at this point. I have operations people that have worked for me for 30 years. And that's a big difference. And they've been doing the job and they know it better than I do at this point. On the other hand, that doesn't make it solely their decision. I mean, ultimately, the person that's in charge has to make that decision. And you know what? Most of my job is convincing our board, our people, that the vision that I have is the right vision.
You're Harry S. Truman. The buck stops here.
As everybody. But the bottom line is that you've got to make sure that you're able to convince them, and then you're laying that risk on the line. Okay, and it is your job ultimately. If you're unsuccessful, then that's the problem.
Well, it's been a problem for the Eagles. We'll see if they can get it right next year with a collaborative effort. We're all hoping. Everybody in Philadelphia hopes they can get it right. We have Ben Jones with us from BCWSA, Chris Herman, myself. This is All In at the Gallery Sportsbook in Bar, Atlantic City. Tommy Greene.
Hey, I want to get back to the stuff I forgot before.
Okay.
About how I was going to say that the Flyers sound like they're already celebrating the accomplishments of this team, and it might be a little bit early, but...
we learned that from the Eagles.
But anyway.
You'll hear that next. The Flyers, Chris, Ben, will put it all in a row and shoot the Ducks as they stand, and you'll hear it all in. Back after this from Gallery Sportsbook in Atlantic City at Ocean Casino. See you in a minute.
Go to get your game on at the Gallery Bar Booking Games in Ocean Casino Resort this football season. Cheers your favorite drinks while cheering on your favorite team. Get in on the parlay while in the middle of a party. Go for the sports scene and go for the endless screens. Go to the Gallery. Go to Ocean. Go for the win. For more information, visit theoceanac.com. Must be 21 or older to wager or consume alcohol. Gambling problem? Call 1-800-GAMBLER.
This is Tommy Greene from the 1993 National League champion Phillies. And here's the pitch. BCWSA water and sewer customers, you have a new and improved option to pay your bill that's convenient, reliable, and secure. Powered by Invoice Cloud, you can pay your bill 24/7 online, pay by text or phone, or sign up for AutoPay to avoid fees for late or missed payments. Visit bcwsa.net to sign up or for more info. That's bcwsa.net. BCWSA, proven.
Head out to Dion Square, located at South Oxford Valley and South Olds Boulevard, to get all your essentials in one place, with the following businesses ready to serve you: Pat Dion Beverages, CVS Pharmacy, Hair Cuttery, Smile Culture Dental, Biomat, Liberty Auto Tags, Pennsylvania Fine Wine and Spirits, Lee's Hoagie House, R&J Smoothies and Juices, AutoZone, and First National Bank and Trust of Newtown. Make Dion Square your one stop for all your shopping needs at South Oxford Valley Road and South Olds Boulevard in Fairless Hills.
You won't see termites crawling across your floor, but thousands might be devouring the wood in your walls, weakening the structure of your home. For over 50 years, termite proofing and pest control of the Delaware Valley has been in the exterminating business. If you think you have a pest problem, they're the experts. Call them today at 215-639-5455. That's 215-639-5455 for TPPC. Termite proofing and pest control of the Delaware Valley gives your home or business peace of mind, knowing your pest problem is in their hands. Located at 1560 Bristol Pike in Bensalem, they use only EPA-approved material applied by licensed technicians. Call Termite Proofing and Pest Control of the Delaware Valley at 215-639-5455.
Energy costs are skyrocketing. Now's the time to upgrade your old heater and air conditioning systems to more efficient units to save on your utility bills. Harris Comfort can also handle all your propane needs, as well as providing sales and service on whole house generators. Harris Comfort is still family owned and has been serving our area for over 60 years, providing sales, service, installation, and peace of mind. Call 215-788-4596 or go to harriscomfort.com. Harris Comfort, still family and still local. With over 7,200 square feet of 200 brewers in stock at all times, Pat Dion Beverages now features 5 different flavors of their favorite slushy cocktails. You can also purchase all your wine, liquor, and other fine spirits right next door. Visit us on Facebook or online at patdionbeverages.com for upcoming events and samples from your favorite brewery or local food vendor.
We now return to All In Live from Oceans Casino and Resort in Atlantic City. Here's your host, Paul Jolovitz and Chris Ermer.
Merci beaucoup, Monsieur Lawler. That's about all the French you'll get. That's about all the French I know. Back here at the Ocean Casino. See?
He's got his walk-up song.
There we are. We got walk-up music now. We got everything, Ben. All right,
like
Chris Ermer, you had some unfinished business. Time's yours.
Well, we were talking about the Flyers and where they're at, all the success they've had, and the great job Danny Briere's been doing, and Keith Jones. But, I feel like I've been on this ride before, and on this 5-game skid, I'm really concerned that things could take a downturn and go south.
You've seen on this ride before. This is a rebuild. When do you remember a ride like this with the Flyers?
Well, when we had a 10-game win streak followed by a 10-game losing streak last season. And we had a 10-game win streak followed by a 10-game losing streak the season before that. So it's a team where it looks there have been times in both of those seasons where it looks really good. This has been more sustained. This looks like it's more legitimate. But I don't want the Flyers to start thinking they've gotten anywhere quite yet. And so as I make that point, the other thing I want to credit the Flyers for, man, they do a great job with their alumni. I mean, the Flyers and the Phillies seem like they are just head and shoulders above the other organizations. Yep. Yeah, to have him out there playing.
80 years old, alumni. Mark Recchi, the Hall of Fame, alumni game last Friday. Brad Marsh did a great job. 13,000 fans, Chris. They did a spectacular job with that alumni weekend. Yep.
And I think the fans probably enjoyed that alumni game more than they enjoyed the actual Flyer. Well, they lost in the actual Flyers game.
That's the reason.
Yeah.
Every game was 6-2, by the way. They won the alumni game 6-2. They won the Warrior game 6-2. They lost the real game 6-2.
But
all right.
Even more highly anticipated, I think, by the fans to see those guys get back out there on the ice. And there's something special about that. So maybe the Phillies need to get back to the home run derbies. Remember when they'd have Bull out there hitting the home runs like before the game? I don't know. The Phillies also do a really good job with their alumni weekend and recognizing that this whole thing is part of a big continuum.
All right, Ben Jones, we have you with us for a lot of reasons, but one is to provide leadership answers to sports questions, even though you're not working in the sports area. You're obviously in tune with it. Carter Hart, obviously, Chris and I talked about, has a very difficult situation. I think the Flyers have to handle it, in my amateur opinion, like he's torn up a knee or something. I mean, he's not going to be there. You got to have next man up. You can't let it hang over the team, whether it has or hasn't, whether it's contributed to the skid. I doubt it, playing some good teams. But if they're without him for a while, he's a restricted free agent this summer. They could just let him walk. That's one alternative. What do you, if you're Danny Briere or Keith Jones, are you planning on Carter Hart without knowing a lot of information, and a lot more will be available in a week or so? Do you think he's ever going to play a game for the Flyers again? And how do you think you would handle it at this very early stage?
Well, again, you don't know for sure at this point whether or not he's going to play, what the extent of what's wrong with him, quite frankly. And as a result of that, you can't make a quick decision. That's really the answer. You really have to kind of play it out and see where you go from there. Whenever you lose one of your key people, there's always going to be a problem. There's always going to be a lapse. You can actually use it as an advantage too, which is to bring somebody in that is essentially that you think has potential and start giving them experience and see whether or not they are your answer. Because if they're not, and you find out later that ultimately you're going to not probably have him play, then you're going to need somebody new. And at that point, then it's time to start talking about what you're going to do when it's free agency and so on.
Have you ever had somebody, without naming names, obviously, any company that you worked with, whether you were the CEO or the copy boy on day one of your career, that got into some kind of legal trouble? They did their job just fine, but obviously walked in down the wrong corridor in some other area of life, and somebody had to handle that immediately?
Yeah, Obviously. And, one of the hardest things that you want to do, and we're not going to say you let them go. Let's just say that it's not even related to that. They got an opportunity to play for someone else or work for somebody else. And it's the same situation with your offensive, defensive coordinators that we talked about with the Eagles. That's the best and the worst day that, as a leader, that happens to you. You're very happy and proud that essentially they are part of your team and that they were part of making you a success, but now you're faced with the need to replace them, not even an opportunity unless you look at it from that perspective. So, it's inevitable. It's going to happen, and you've got to make adjustments. And we get back to that again. As the leader, that's your job, is to make adjustments.
Is that the key to life, adjustments, no matter what you're talking about? Somebody does something, you respond, and it's never ending in whatever area you're working in?
That, and also providing the proper training and support, and the folks where you actually get behind and believe in. You have to then step up as a leader, okay, and then start talking to those folks and start, building a team again. Because, again, so many teams, so many companies rely on their star players, okay, to make all decisions, and that's not a good approach. The answer is it's got to be a team effort. And I think the difference between, and I'm going to keep drawing correlation between what happened with the Eagles and what happens with a lot of our teams, is that you got to make sure that the team still believe that they're part of that vision. You basically have to be that cheerleader. You have to keep that glue together no matter what. And especially when you get into some adversarial positions and things like that, a lot of things can go wrong. And once you start losing that, how can I say it, the glue that makes the team work.
Mojo.
The mojo.
It felt like
you need it more than ever. You really need to spend time on doing that.
Did you feel like some of the players' comments after the season in support of Sirianni indicated that he still had
He did. But what we did see is some of the team members themselves starting to question other members of the team. And we could talk about our receivers. Again, I'm not going to name names here, but you know who they are.
How many
and our
are
quarter.
Is it Jeff
Right.
Wilson?
So, I mean,
Maybe not.
you got AJ, and that's going to sit there. I am going to name him. I mean, he and Hurts got into it a couple times on the sidelines. That should never be. Okay.
And they have a relationship from paradise, Godfather to the son.
Absolutely.
Does that matter? Can you? Because we saw with Brian Johnson and Jalen on a professional level, can you? If the personal relationship somehow goes a little bit south, can you maintain the professional relationship? How hard is that?
Well, that's why they're called professionals, because you have to do that in work and you have to do that in their work, which is still sports, but it's work. And you have to get through that, and you have to work together, and you have to be part of the team, and you have to do something. I mean, we've all had relatives that didn't talk to each other, as an example. And I had the situation where my father and my uncle worked together in the same place, and one was a supervisor and the other one. So needless to say, they didn't always get along.
And they didn't talk to each other?
No, not outside.
Wow.
And as a result of that, they had to work together and pull together as a team in order to make sure that the rest of the corporation worked well. And truthfully, that's exactly what you need here. It's exactly the same recipe, whether it's the Flyers, it's the Phillies, it's the Eagles, you name it. And, one of the things that we have unique to Philadelphia, other than maybe just Buffalo as well,
cheesesteaks,
is the ability to have a city that just stands behind you. I mean, yes, they're critical when things don't go right. But you know what? Our teams in Philadelphia are so supportive.
I mean, we have a bell with a big crack in it, and we still love that bell.
That's correct.
Right?
Our bell.
Come on, that's Philly.
It's not only Philly, it's our nation. So, you know what? Bottom line is, bell has a crack in it. It wasn't built well. And the end result is it still represents our freedom and our liberty.
It is a legendary bell. And let me get one of the bell questions to you, Ben, because we always ask you about BCWSA. Been a couple months since we've done this show. Yeah. What's up on the home front? Anything worth talking about?
Yeah, I mean, things are going well. One of the things that's coming up that I want to get out to the folks and so forth is, as you know, we went through the potential of selling off half of our company to Aqua American, and that did not go through. Our owners and our board of directors decided that wasn't in the best interest. We heard the public's interests, and as a result of that, we are now in a rebuilding stage. So after 61 years...
You won the Flyers.
That's exactly right. After 61 years of being in business, we're actually rebuilding and we're rededicating our facilities, and we're investing a tremendous amount of money to try and upgrade and bring it in. And some of the things that we've done is really cool in our skating room, which essentially is our security and our weather control and the ability to actually manage everything. A room that's not much different from this, only a little bit smaller,
Just a
with
bit.
screens and things like that. But the end result is we've got really cool satellite, because a lot of our stuff is with weather and so forth, where we've got state-of-the-art things which help us prepare for that as an emergency response.
That's
So.
interesting. We're in a huge room, by the way, sports book, and we've all
Yeah,
seen
it
those
is.
situation rooms in the Pentagon, whatever, in movies. What kind of a challenge is that? If you're a CEO like you are, and you're running a company and blah, 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 things happen, things don't happen, then a major thing like this, you decide not to sell, and you got a huge new challenge in front of you. That's got to be a great thing for someone like you who maybe has been around the block a couple times and maybe needs a little left jab to try to respond to, right?
Well, absolutely. I mean, one of the things that people always said, that we were actually well run, that we were actually, providing great service, etc. So why change? But one of the things that we have to do after you go through a situation where, all of our people were looking at losing their jobs and either going or working for somebody else. And that's a major adjustment, especially for people that work there for 30, 35 years. So that adjustment is something that I embraced and said, this is another opportunity to create something for the future, because what we do is we provide economic development for the region. Because nothing gets built unless we actually provide the infrastructure first. And we have to do that well, and it requires vision, it requires interaction with the municipal governments, it requires interaction with the state organizations, and it requires interaction with the developers and the people that are actually providing jobs for folks. So one of the things that's really exciting about this is bringing my team back together, talking about that and saying, hey, we've got a major responsibility, and that responsibility isn't just for you as an employee, it's for every one of the folks that we serve in Bucks, Montgomery, and Chester counties surrounding Philadelphia, because we're going to make the choices and the decisions that are going to essentially continue to make this region viable. And if we don't do that, then obviously the entire area falters, and as a result of that, your kids, your grandchildren may have to move and go someplace else for employment.
Wow, pretty
and a
heavy
place to
stuff,
live.
huh?
Well, it is. It's a lot of
Responsibility,
responsibility, and it's no different from the coaches that have to do this, the owners that have to look at this.
But
because
the public
you know what?
is not looking the same way at PCWSA. Obviously, the public depends on you, and obviously you get reaction, but not the visceral reaction that sports fans get.
Yeah, well, we can, and I'll tell you one of the things that we're in right now that's one of those things that is a challenge. So after the sale, we had the ability to now make improvements to the lines and things of that nature that needed to be done. And one of the things that's very difficult is we're telling folks that they need to fix some of the problems that we're having with infiltration and inflow, which is rainwater that's getting treated. Not only is it expensive, it causes environmental issues with overflows and things of that nature, but one of the things that people don't understand is that also then restricts the amount of capacity for new development, new homes for the building trades in order to build them and continue to be employed, for your kids to be able to have places to live that are viable, that are new, that are meet the needs of today's society, not the ones that were built 40, 50, 60 years ago. So as a result of that, this is an opportunity for us to get that message out, and we've been doing a lot of that. And if these connections disappear, and they're placed on what's referred to as a moratorium, the moratorium basically is going to then say no more connections in these municipalities, which then means taxes are going to increase, because they don't have the revenue coming in, no tax, real estate tax for the new development that's coming in, and of course, no new jobs. And as a result of that, this is a great opportunity for us to work with those municipalities, make sure they understand in the public that this is absolutely critical. I grew up in an area in upstate Pennsylvania that didn't do that, and one of my major motivations was to do something about it, because I didn't want to see them fall into that same situation that those areas ended up in.
Well said, Ben. We wish you good luck going forward. Obviously, everybody does. Got a couple minutes left with you here. Obviously, we talked about the Eagles, whether they take a step forward or back. Waits to be seen. Sixers with Joel Embiid, the Flyers, the Super Bowl championship games. I want to ask you two questions. A, who do you like in Super Bowl 58? And B, are you optimistic as the Phillies go to Clearwater with a hot stove that hasn't really had the pilot light on, if you know what I mean?
Yeah.
What your thoughts are about the Phillies?
So I'll start off with the Super Bowl. I don't have a horse in the race. As I opened up by saying I'm not a fan of San Francisco.
You a big Red fan?
I like Andy Reid. I like his commercials most.
They're tremendous.
Especially the ones with the nuggets. I think that's absolutely
Nuggies,
amazing.
not
Yeah,
nuggets.
give me have those little nuggies. This time with that, right? So I think that that says a lot. I think Andy's grown and he's corrected a lot of his mistakes that he
has
had with
grown.
the Eagles. Yeah, in more ways than one. And let's not talk about that because that happened to
I've
all
grown
of us.
too, yep.
But nonetheless,
Too many nuggies.
too many nuggies. Yeah, but you can't count out. And again, Kansas City's become Hollywood, and that's one of the things that's I think so frustrating because everybody's seen them, but you can't count out
Swift
Mahomes.
or something else?
Yeah, it's not just Taylor Swift; it's the commercials, State Farm. You've got Travis Kelce on multiple commercials,
Everything,
and of course Taylor Swift. And I'm going to leave that one alone. I hope they get along great and that they have a future together. Wonderful for them. But the reality of the situation is with a team like Mahomes and Travis Kelce in particular, you've got opportunities that I think that are going to be overwhelming. And remember, you can run against San Francisco. That's been shown now. So I think those are my comments on that. As far as the Phillies, I'm very hopeful for the Phillies this year. I think I have a good friend here that's telling me, and he's going to be on in a little bit, that's telling me that...
talking about Lee or Cosmo? Or Tommy?
Tommy, of course. Telling me that the Phillies are looking good. And, there's some a lot of off-season stuff that's happened, which I'm not going to steal his fire in this one. You can ask him about that.
No.
And I think overall, I think the Phillies are going to have a great opportunity. So,
on a scale of 1 to 10, final question for Ben Jones, our sponsor, head of BCWSA. I, Ben Jones, am disappointed between 1 and 10 at Reese Hoskins not being back. On every level, put it in the blender, what do you get?
2.
2? Okay, that's basically where I am. Chris, what about you?
I'll say a 5.
All right. Tommy Greene's going to put that in perspective for all of us, former pitcher. Started Game 4 of the 1993 World Series.
Maybe 4.5.
4.5?
Yeah.
All right.
I do have one last thing to say about this. I was going through my stuff because we're doing part of these renovations in our office and everything else. And one of the things that I found when doing these things, because you sit there after 30 years and have this stuff, is I found my 1993 brochure. Okay,
wow.
The actual brochure
cool
itself.
When you find those.
The tickets, and of course, I have Tommy Greene's picture in it as I'm there, and I remember sitting in those games and seeing it, and that was probably one of the coolest things, at least this week, that I did.
Absolutely. Find old stuff. It's always good. Sometimes they're worth something. Tommy Greene's worth something now. We'll have him on. This is All In. Thank you to Ben Jones for being with us. Appreciate it, buddy.
Thanks again, guys.
Yep, Chris Ermer, and I will talk to Tommy Greene for the final hour of our show. We're at the Gallery Sportsbook Casino and Ocean Casino in Atlantic City. We were going to talk to Tommy about the Phillies, about Clearwater, spring training, hot stove, the pilot light in the hot stove, and much, much more when we come back with more right after this.
You're listening to 1490 WBCB, Levittown, Fairless Hills, Trenton, and now heard as well on FM.
Hey, Chris, do you want to do the news?
No. No, if you could do a brief break, like a couple of spots, and then we'll come right back.
Sounds good.
Go for the pulse and the pools. Go for the hot streak and the hot tubs. Go for a relaxing massage and for wild nights with your entourage. Go to play all day and to dance all night. Go for the rooms with the ocean views that go on forever. Go for paradise with a pair of dice. Go for the win. Go to Ocean Casino Resort. Book your trip at theoceanac.com.
Must be 21 or older. Party responsibly. Gambling problem? Call 1-800-GAMBLER.
BCWSA customers, former Phillies pitcher Tommy Greene here. I played on the 1993 National League champs, so I know a thing or two about what it's like playing on a winning team. BCWSA has all the ingredients. They make it easy for their customers to get automatic updates by text, email, or phone anytime there is a disruption in your service area. You can even customize your alerts by going to bcwsa.net. That's bcwsa.net. BCWSA.
All right, guys,
your partner
coming
for
back here in a
safer
little bit.
environment. BCWSA, proven.
Head out to Dion Square, located at South Oxford Valley and South Olds Boulevard, to get all your essentials in one place, with the following businesses ready to serve you: Pat Dion Beverages, CVS Pharmacy, Hair Cuttery, Smile Culture Dental, Biomat, Liberty Auto Tags, Pennsylvania Fine Wine and Spirits, Lee's Hoagie House, R&J Smoothies and Juices, AutoZone, and First National Bank and Trust of Newton. Make Dion Square your one stop for all your shopping needs at South Oxford Valley Road and South Olds Boulevard in Fairless Hills.
You won't see termites crawling across your floor, but thousands might be devouring the wood in your walls, weakening the structure of your home. For over 50 years, termite proofing and pest control of the Delaware Valley has been in the exterminating business. If you think you have a pest problem, they're the experts. Call them today at 215-639-5455. That's 215-639-5455 for TPPC. Termite proofing and pest control of the Delaware Valley gives your home or business peace of mind, knowing your pest problem is in their hands. Located at 1560 Bristol Pike in Bensalem, they use only EPA-approved material applied by licensed technicians. Call Termite Proofing and Pest Control of the Delaware Valley at 215-639-5455.
Energy costs are skyrocketing. Now's the time to upgrade your old heater and air conditioning systems to more efficient units to save on your utility bills. Harris Comfort will handle all your propane needs, as well as providing sales and service on whole house generators. Harris Comfort is still family owned and has been serving our area for over 60 years, providing sales, service, installation, and peace of mind. Call 215-788-4596 or go to harriscomfort.com. Harris Comfort, still family and still local. With over 7,200 square feet of 200 brewers,
You want to go on
in stock
after
at
this
all times,
commercial?
Pat Dion Beverages
sounds good.
now features 5 different flavors of their favorite slushy cocktails. You can also purchase all your wine, liquor, and other fine spirits right next door. Visit us on Facebook or online at patdionbeverages.com for upcoming events and samples from your favorite brewery or local food vendor.
We now return to All In with Paul Jolovitz, broadcasting live in Atlantic City.
All righty, we're here at the Gallery Sportsbook and Casino at the Ocean Casino in Atlantic City, having a great time, watching all kinds of stuff. People drinking at the bar. You like the lights in this place, Chris? All kinds of neon lights and fun stuff.
I like everything about this place.
Do you like? We're going to ask Tommy about this down the road.
Right. Is that a good answer, Tommy?
That's a real good answer.
Wait a second. Now, something that we're going to ask Tommy that we didn't talk about the first 2 hours.
No, what lights are you talking about? Like
these blue lights here, which people can't see if they're not. We don't have.
As long as they don't start blinking, I'm all right.
What do you think about the Phillies' new city jerseys, the blue ones?
Not a big fan.
I haven't even seen them.
Well, I with some of the City Connect jerseys.
Yep.
I heard the City Connect, but I haven't seen them yet.
Doesn't connect much for me.
Right, I've seen how it kind of connects to a city a little bit more. Like the stuff out in L.A. or San Diego, they had like pastels and kind of like West Coast colors, kind of.
I call them fruity.
This was just like, I don't know. I just didn't see the Philly connection with this Philly Connect, with this City Connect.
Yeah, exactly.
There's no connection there.
You might be thinking, who's the other guy? Who's the guy with the southern accent all of a sudden who jumped in? He is the former pitcher for the Philadelphia Phillies and Atlanta Braves, started Game 4 of the 1993 World Series. Yeah. He is a man about town, can hit a golf ball about 6,000 miles.
That was a little while ago.
A little while ago, maybe 5,800 now, Mr. Tommy Greene. How are you, buddy?
How you doing, pal? So good to be on board with you guys this afternoon.
It's
been a while.
My second February Happy New Year of the day.
How about it?
Happy New Year.
Happy New Year to you too, pal. I ain't seen you in a while.
Nope. And then Tommy is renowned, everybody. Tommy used to be known in the Phillies clubhouse as Punxsutawney Tommy. I know Groundhog Day is your favorite day of the year.
Yeah,
huh?
Exactly.
We're going to see 6 more weeks of winter or not?
I hope not. Don't feel good to our shoulders, does it?
No, it doesn't.
I mean, those shoulders are banged up now. I just wanted to get warm enough so we can start playing golf again.
Well, we got golf, and obviously we got Clearwater in February.
Yes.
Pitchers and catchers, which is a date everybody cares about until they get there, when nobody cares until they start playing games. It's more the metaphor that baseball is for spring, for the end of cold, the end of winter, the blooming of everything. We got daylight savings time around the corner. Tommy, the first thing on everybody's mind We're going to talk about Rhys Hoskins and what Dave Dombrowski has to do. Is the hot stove this year has not been hot. We've had a couple moves. The Dodgers have made every move that spent $1 trillion literally.
How
almost.
about the Brinks truck they backed up?
The Brinks truck they backed up. I'm probably more than one Brinks truck.
Wow.
But the pilot light, I mean, the Phillies re-signed Aaron Nola and a couple other
That was a pretty good-sized Brinks truck there, too, if you ask me.
Pretty good. The Brinks side-by-side motorcycle compared to what Ohtani got and what Yamamoto got. Pilot light's been kind of low for the Phillies. Does Dave Dombrowski have to do something major via a closer, via a starter, via right-handed power bat before spring training or during spring training?
I tell you, I mean, I'm under the theory, they have the talent there to do it. It's all about getting it done.
And they got the money,
putting it
too.
together. And it's all about the right thing coming to fruition, and I think Dombrowski has said if the right situation comes to the forefront, that they're not afraid to do it, or at least try. They were in on board with Yamamoto too, but it's all about the offer where he wanted to be.
Yeah, but is it a money thing, Tommy? Because these things are usually hashed out by December, early January. I mean, a lot of guys. I mean,
money talks and the other walks, right?
Right, but there's guys who haven't talked or walked. Snell, Montgomery, Bellinger, some major free agents. Never mind a million.
Well, here's the thing I look at. I think I look at things too. They got a core group there here in Philadelphia in the clubhouse that is a pretty good clubhouse, and they gel together and go together pretty well. Now, you want somebody that's coming in there that's going to fit, that fit that clubhouse, that culture a little bit more. And I think that's a huge thing you cannot push aside just because, this guy, so to speak, was the Cy Young or whatever. What does he bring to the plate in the clubhouse too? What type of person is he in that fit? And that's a huge thing, that clubhouse camaraderie and the way guys go about their business and stuff too. Yeah, I would love to have the talent to Blake Snell in that rotation. Oh my, but
I don't want to jump in and interrupt you, Tommy, but it feels like this Phillies team and this clubhouse is strong enough, and I'm really kind of thinking about the leadership of Bryce Harper. I
think Schwarber's a huge piece in that too.
Sure. Where they could bring in somebody who maybe isn't a perfect fit, and those guys are going to make sure that they hammer that square peg into the round, somehow get everybody to work together.
Yeah, I mean, I was fortunate enough to. We've talked to this, the years I've been on air with your guys. I was fortunate enough to play with probably the best leader in the clubhouse. It probably has been in Philadelphia. It's probably Dutch, and I don't know. I know Harper's the man, but still the guy in the clubhouse is who.
All right, stop for a second.
I think Rhys Hoskins had a big thing to do with that while he was here.
And we'll talk about Rhys in a second because Rhys was a good leader. But we talked about Bobby Clark last weekend, Alumni Weekend. We talk about, does Jalen Hurts have the ability to lead? Is it a veteran thing? We talk about Joel Embiid in the Sixer locker room. What makes every team has a leader, but not every team has a great leader? What makes a great leader? Why did everybody go to Dutch? Why was he able to get the job done instead of just recognizing the problem, solve the problem? If you had a bad day, he could be in your face. He could pat you on the butt.
Yeah.
What made him great as a leader?
First of all, he led by example. He led by example in what he did day in and day out, the type of man he was, the attrition that he had to go through to make the post, to take the post every day, game day, every day, what he'd been through, all the surgeries and stuff like that. That talks without nothing being said from him about what type of man he was, and he led by example that way. Also, he was probably one of the toughest dudes in baseball. People don't realize physically.
12 knee operations.
Yeah, I mean,
I'm kidding, but
I mean, just in his presence and he commanded without saying anything respect, and that's what he got. So if it come down to saying something, and
not being afraid to say it.
And he'd earned the right over the course of time. He was the longest tenured guy there in our clubhouse, and that holds water. Now, the personality is a huge thing. Is he a quieter guy? Is he a boisterous guy? Dutch wasn't one of those in the spotlight or anything. So when he said something,
it
was and it was money, and that's the way it is. So that being said, in the clubhouse in Philadelphia now is a huge thing. They do have the talent there to do great things, and it all comes about we can write it down on paper and what you got written down or whatever, and play the game by paper, and like they do in the sports book. I mean, whatever you want to do and bet on things or whatever. Still, you got to go out and play them, and it's about who gets hot at the right time and who what. And this goes to show you, Atlanta Braves has won it. Well, how many years now?
6.
Yeah, and look what happens. It's about with the way the structure of the game is right now.
An interesting statement you made, Tommy, leads me to my next question. Atlanta's won it a bunch of years in a row.
Mm-hmm.
They've got better in the offseason. They got their core signed forever.
Yeah.
Obviously, injuries can derail anything.
Yes, it can.
But Rob Thompson was asked in one of the caravans that across the winter the Phillies are doing. They've always been great with that, kept the Delaware Valley and Philadelphia in gear as they get ready to go to Clearwater. He said our big goal is to win the division this year. Obviously, you got to play the regular season before the playoffs. You can be a wild card every year, but then you have to win the wild card, and about the whole thing with playing on the road, blah, blah, blah. How important, the Braves win the division. They don't seem to win the World Series other than 2021. How much of a goal should be winning the division for the Phillies this year?
I tell you, I mean, every year your goal is to win, and me, I've always been
to win what?
I mean, he win the game today.
Okay.
And that's the way I look at it, because you win the game today, it dictate and
162-0 is going to put you pretty well.
Yes, I mean, if 162-0 would be a great year, wouldn't it? I mean, but
all
that's the way. That's the way you get to the ultimate goals. Yeah, you have sort of like plateaus you want to get to.
Yep.
But the key to it is you're going to go through the peaks and valleys over the course of season, but it's all maintaining that. You don't want the ebbs and flow to be the big 40-foot waves. You want them to be the 8-foot rollers, out there in the ocean, so you can handle them. You don't want to capsize your boat,
So Jolly, were you disappointed that he said the division and didn't say the World Series?
No, because I understand what he was talking about. Obviously, Rob Thompson knows, having lost the World Series last year or 2 years ago, the NLCS this year, the fashion they did. He understands that it's World Series or bust, that fans in Philadelphia are not looking to get to the playoffs. They're looking to win the World Series. He just, he's on a caravan. He said something. Everybody knows when it starts. I had no problem with it at all.
No, I have no problem with that statement at all. Far as you got to get to the playoffs first. How many times in the years past, starting against since 2011, when it was the drought really started after that
10-year
year.
drought before the last two.
I mean, but you look at it, is getting there, and any team that gets there in the playoffs, if they're hot, you got a couple guys that are hot, on the pitching side of things, like you saw, that can do damage and stymie a lineup a little bit to give them a chance to win a ball game on one swing of bat or something like that, and that can happen. It can knock the giant off the perch.
All right, so take us inside the clubhouse for a second, Tommy. When they get to Clearwater, when all the pitchers and catchers are reported, when all the hitters report, we know Bryce Harper's playing first. We know Reese is gone. We know that Nola's re-signed. A couple other things might be done.
Yeah.
We know about the goals of this team or a World Series. New with teams that have the goal of a World Championship as well, which should really only be the goal that any team has. Jim Fregosi gets you guys all together in the clubhouse. Rob Thompson's going to get everybody for the State of the Union, whatever you want to call it, opening speech. What did Jim Fregosi tell you after 93 was a goal in 94? How emotional did he get? And how different do you think Topper's speech will be, if at all, this year?
Well, first of all, you got a bunch of professionals in the room, and it's not a Newt Rockne speech, and guys shouldn't need motivation to play the game like that. We know the bottom line, what comes down to getting the job done, is for us to do our due diligence and prepare ourselves during the winter, but also prepare ourselves during spring training to be able to take the post and go out there and let our abilities shine on the field, not not in the training room and get hurt. And that's the biggest thing. I think the biggest statements that Rob has made since he's took reins is you don't win it, the first week of spring training,
well,
or the
can't
first
lose
week,
it the first
but
week
because so don't try to overdo. Go through the process to prepare yourself, because nothing prepares yourself for games other than games you pitch in or play in, because the adrenaline kicks up a little bit. There's a little bit extra there, and that's the time when you're more susceptible to things happening.
Well,
as we saw in Painter last year. I know he was geared up to go, and that first time I just think it was a little too much too soon.
So what did you
for
do
him with whatever he was doing? I think what they were trying to accomplish, with him.
You were Painter 30 years ago, Tommy. Big arm, big prospect in the major leagues. Obviously, Painter could have been dumb luck, overdoing it or whatever. You got 4 months in the off season. You take some time off. Everybody does.
You got to.
What was your off season like? Kind of a real freeze-dried version. Tell us how you got from end of the World Series to first day of spring training.
Here's the way my program sort of went. There's nothing, not compared to what they have now, access to now.
Yep.
As far as the trainers and stuff, the way they take care of themselves, the metrics and stuff, what they use things to take care of their bodies. And not that we didn't try to take care of our body, but my formula was, I always tried to give my upper half, from the belt up, at least 2 weeks or more, or 2.5 weeks down, rest, but the lower half, really, I would really say more core up, give it off, leave it alone, let it take a breath, let it, kind of recoup it a little bit. But I kept working on my core work and my leg work, and kept my running up. That's something I could do. Not that you were running pounded every day, but you're keeping it up where it's not a shock to your body when you start it up over again. But and that was when I started. And I think the only times we make gains, strength-wise, are during the off season. So you got to start that process with the upper half. I started that probably 2.5 weeks. After 2 weeks, 2.5 weeks, started with the lifting program that we had, trying to start it back up, and then try to make the gains by the time I started picking up a ball again and pitching. Start throwing again, because I always tried to, wherever I was at in my strength phase or whatever, once I started throwing, I always backed down from it. Once I started throwing, it turned in from being strength to being a maintenance program, is to continue to go. And that's the part during the course of the season. You're not trying to gain strength, you're trying to maintain your maintenance program. You got to find out what works, and sometimes you're going to have to do that. So you're going to have to figure that thing out and change things up during the course of the season so you recoup better.
All right, we're going to try to figure some stuff out with Tommy Greene when we come back here. I'm going to ask 3 questions. Chris will fly in. I want to know who the leadoff hitter is going to be on this baseball team. We've seen the fruits of Kyle Schwarber the last 2 years. Will that make sense this year? Is there anybody to bring in? Who's the closer going to be? Is Orion Kirkring ready after one off season? We'll see what Tommy Greene has to say. And Rhys Hoskins, he's going. How will that impact the team along with everything else? Phillies here at the Ocean Casino in Atlantic City.
Ooh, also, Paul.
And Chris Hermer, yes?
I want to ask you, you probably know, who the highest paid coaches in Philly are. Eagles, Sixers, Flyers, Phillies. Because I was really surprised at how that all stacked up, and I'm wondering if Tommy's got a team.
I have no idea what the pay structure is.
Well,
we'll go over it when we get back. All kinds of stuff for people to look forward to at Ocean Casino. Come on down. You'll have a great time here. We are back right after this. Stay with us.
Go for the pulse and the pools. Go for the hot streak and the hot tubs. Go for a relaxing massage and for wild nights with your entourage. Go to play all day and to dance all night. Go for the rooms with the ocean views that go on forever. Go for paradise with a pair of dice. Go for the win. Go to Ocean Casino Resort. Book your trip at theoceanac.com.
Must be 21 or older. Party responsibly. Gambling problem? Call 1-800-GAMBLER.
BCWSA customers, former Phillies pitcher Tommy Greene here. I played on the 1993 National League champs, so I know a thing or two about what it's like playing on a winning team. BCWSA has all the ingredients. They make it easy for their customers to get automatic updates by text, email, or phone anytime there is a disruption in your service area. You can even customize your alerts by going to bcwsa.net. That's bcwsa.net. BCWSA, your partner for a safer environment. BCWSA, proven.
Head out to Dion Square, located at South Oxford Valley and South Olds Boulevard, to get all your essentials in one place, with the following businesses ready to serve you: Pat Dion Beverages, CVS Pharmacy, Hair Cuttery, Smile Culture Dental, Biomat, Liberty Auto Tags, Pennsylvania Fine Wine and Spirits, Lee's Hoagie House, R&J Smoothies and Juices, AutoZone, and First National Bank and Trust of Newtown. Make Dion Square your one stop for all your shopping needs at South Oxford Valley Road and South Olds Boulevard in Fairless Hills.
You won't see termites crawling across your floor, but thousands might be devouring the wood in your walls, weakening the structure of your home. For over 50 years, termite proofing and pest control of the Delaware Valley has been in the exterminating business. If you think you have a pest problem, they're the experts. Call them today at 215-639-5455. That's 215-639-5455 for TPPC. Termite proofing and pest control of the Delaware Valley gives your home or business peace of mind, knowing your pest problem is in their hands. Located at 1560 Bristol Pike in Bensalem, they use only EPA-approved material applied by licensed technicians. Call Termite Proofing and Pest Control of the Delaware Valley at 215-639-5455.
Energy costs are skyrocketing. Now's the time to upgrade your old heater and air conditioning systems to more efficient units to save on your utility bills. Harris Comfort can also handle all your propane needs, as well as providing sales and service on whole house generators. Harris Comfort is still family owned and has been serving our area for over 60 years, providing sales, service, installation, and peace of mind. Call 215-788-4596 or go to harriscomfort.com. Harris Comfort, still family and still local. With over 7,200 square feet of 200 brewers in stock at all times, Pat Dion Beverages now features 5 different flavors of their favorite slushy cocktails. You can also purchase all your wine, liquor, and other fine spirits right next door. Visit us on Facebook or online at patdionbeverages.com for upcoming events and samples from your favorite brewery or local food vendor.
We now return to All In Live from Oceans Casino Resort in Atlantic City. Here's your hosts, Paul Jolovitz and Chris Ermer.
Thank you very much, Mr. Stephen Lawler. We are continuing to enjoy the fruits of the Gallery Sportsbook and Bar here at the Oceans Casino Resort in Atlantic City. Tommy Greene with us, Chris Ermer as well. What do you think of this place, Tommy?
That's awesome. Well, I mean, what I'm seeing at right now, these TVs, I mean, they're huge and the clarity is unbelievable.
How do they make a curved TV, the pictures be like that? The pixels, whatever the technology is, I don't know how they do it.
I don't either.
But God bless them.
It's beautiful in here, though. And it's my first time here, so I'm kind of taking it all in.
This place is going to be nuts on the Super Bowl. They have like a special here at Ocean, a whole thing, and you can check it out. Yeah, it's going to be. And I think this area, especially with all the action.
I'm going to watch it from the confines, probably in my house.
All right.
My TV, I got 85 inches, big enough and close enough where it looks huge.
Yeah,
so.
Who's going to win?
I don't care.
You don't care at all?
Nah.
Big Red?
Nah. I can tell you who I'm pulling for, probably.
Who?
I'm probably for somebody who hadn't won it in a while. Yeah, I'm probably Frisco as well. I'm going for.
Well, the other thing that I always root for is a good game.
Yeah, that's all that matters to me, really.
I kind of root for that more than the outcome.
You don't do the commercial thing?
That's fun.
That's always to see what they come up with that. But, I sort of, for the underdog a little bit, I kind of go that way. And I'd like to see Purdy have a good game and match up and hopefully do well, make a good showing, give them a chance to – it comes down to a final drive or something like that. That's what I'd like.
Quiet the naysayers.
Yeah, that's what I'd like. I'd like to see that. That'd be a good thing.
Chiefs don't have anything to prove. You
want to win again and again and again and again. Winning begets more winning.
Yeah.
And we'll see. Phillies hope to win more. They got to the playoffs a couple straight years, Tommy, but couldn't close the deal last year against the Diamondbacks. We saw what happened, and a lot of that was because of a few issues. One, the bullpen. Obviously, they had a closer by committee last year. Kimbrel closed the last part of the year. He's off to Baltimore now with a 2-year deal. Somehow nobody signed in the offseason, but Craig Kimbrel did. And Rob Thompson, I think, to me, and I haven't talked to anybody who didn't feel this way. Maybe you do. Far overused Orion Kirkering in the playoffs last year. Trusted him way too much and his stuff. He just wasn't ready for prime time, in my opinion, last year.
Well, I mean, stuff plays, and the guys
stuff under pressure doesn't.
Well, I mean, how do you know he's not going to do it until you put him out there?
I don't want to put him out there to find out.
You don't play the game scared, man. You can't do that. You know,
then why don't you just put a raw rookie and start him?
He's proved that. He's got the stuff to do it with. If anything, if you're going to find fault in Kirkering and what was happening,
him and what he was asked to do,
and what he was asked to do, if anything you can find fault with, I thought the pitch calling and the selection for him could have been better. You know, because the guy's got elite stuff. He's got upper 90s fastball with probably one of the best sliders in baseball. But you can't throw slider every pitch all the time. Maybe one person I've ever seen do that almost was Larry Anderson.
All right, so now you got the pitch count and selection you didn't like. As a pitcher, Tommy Kirkering is 22, 23 years old. He's on a huge stage. His manager's trusting him with high leverage innings, and your catcher and the manager are calling pitches you don't like. At what point do you say to yourself, at some point, have a man confidence and say, guys, I'm throwing what I'm throwing. I don't care what you tell me.
He's got to do that. You know, it comes a time you earned. I mean, you got to be. I had to do that. You know, Dutch. I mean, we went through a time where he's followed me because he says I know the hitters and stuff. And I was new over here, and I was a young guy, and he says follow me. You got to build trust in that. You know, because anything we want to keep the pace of the game going. To keep that rhythm going in the game. And a lot of times, I mean, if I went to shake, he would look at me and tap his chest, and that was a sign to me. He says, follow me, believe in me, I'm seeing something. You know, and I have to buy into it. Biggest thing Kirkering's got to do is buy into it. But if you don't, you got to have a conversation.
Okay.
And because this bottom line, the win and W go beside your name as a pitcher. And that's the thing, but it becomes a little bit of you gain trust in each other by doing that. You agree to disagree sometime, and you have those conversations. You know, why did and explain to yourself like that. You know, so I mean I think he didn't use his fastball enough, which he could have, because by what I was hearing and stuff, he has pretty good command of his fastball too. To be as young, and there's no reason why he can't pitch in situations like that. You know, he's got the stuff to pitch in the big leagues. He rose through and do that.
Quickly.
And once you're in the big leagues, you're in a high leverage situation all the time. That you're at the pinnacle of the game. You're in the big leagues. You know, you're just playing. Once the game starts, you're in another game. You know, once you get over those initial butterflies, it's after that first strike you throw, it's game on. You know?
All right, so he came up last year, and this year, the offseason, they lost Kimbrel. We know about Soto. We know about Jeff Hoffman, who I thought was way underutilized last year.
Well, I mean, that was a great find. And who do you credit for that? I credit Bryce Harper for that.
It was tremendous
It
find,
was
but they didn't use him enough
unbelievable.
in the postseason.
Well, I mean, it's
not even close.
I mean, but
He should have been
that was a
Kirkland.
great find. And so they got some tools there, and it's about guys just stepping on the mound and doing what they're capable of doing.
But are you
piecing
looking
it
for
together.
closer time? Is Kirkering that guy? Is a committee that guy? You mentioned Soto got to pitch better. What's in the back end of the bullpen if Tommy Greene is Rob Thompson right now?
I tell you, to me, I've always been a big Sir Anthony fan. And now the question is he going to throw? Is his command going to allow him to be the guy he was coming off that injury? That he's still coming. This year might be a telltale sign. He could be the guy that steps forward because he's got that type of stuff too with late movement and quality pitches. They got a number of guys with closer stuff. Now, that being said, the mentality is a huge thing when you step on that to be a closer. And that's, I think, why everybody was gravitating towards Kimbrel last year, because of the mentality. He's done it. He's been there. He's been one of the elite closers in Major League Baseball history. You know, I mean, he's been around for a long time.
Yep.
You know, so, I mean, he's done the job. Now, I mean, even the guys who've done the job struggle.
Sure.
Now, why can't a young guy with the elite stuff come up there and have success? You can't be afraid to do that, which brings me to Kirkering. Why can't he do that? What's going to be the key to him is getting off to a good start when he starts pitching and getting that confidence going, and that's going to dictate how he does as far as him possibly having to finish games out.
If you're Thompson, do you have him closing spring training games to see whether you can do
Why
that
not?
or not?
Why not?
I agree.
Why not? I mean, is he going? You set him every time he goes out there as a closer? No, you put him in a situation there, and everybody's building up their arm to go. You know, put him in that final inning. You know, get used to coming out there for the final 3 outs, or get that first out in the ninth, or bottom of the ninth, or whichever one it might be. I mean, he's a reliever. We all pitch. I mean, to get outs. You know, that's bottom line, and there's no reason why he can't do it. You know, so the makeup, by watching him, even if he failed under pressure, the makeup, watching his reaction, the way he reacted to things, he didn't show anything out of the ordinary. Like, he maintained status quo, which is good. He's a pretty cool customer out there.
All right, before we get to the other questions I had, Tommy, Rhys Hoskins, the leadoff hitter. I know it has to drive you insane. I know you pretty well. I know it drives me insane. Baseball has evolved with this pitch count thing. Rob Thompson has a quicker hook than most. Phillies have a good bullpen.
That's going to change a little bit, I think, this year.
All right, so 5-6 innings in, Aaron Nola, Zach Wheeler. 5th inning, you give up a single, a 98 hopper that's no fault of your own, and the manager comes out and gets you. How crazy does that leave a starting pitcher? You have no room for error. You're pitching 5 and 6 at most. Blake Snell hasn't pitched more than 6 innings in 3 years. Where's baseball going with this?
Well, I'll tell you what. I mean, I didn't like the way it was going. I mean, you always, as a pitcher, you prepare yourself as a starting pitcher to
finish what you start.
Yeah,
right?
to complete. Physically, you're preparing your body to go 9 innings or whatever it takes to do it. And I mean, that's the way I was taught. But the game is obviously different these days, and it's kind of, last year with the how many pitchers we had on the staff, which was how many? 13 you were allowed to have. This year's what? They backed it off one. I
12,
think 12.
Yep.
That's good. I mean, that could make a little bit of a difference. Starters might have to, might have to do a little more, which I sort of like that. I mean, I'm still a National League Baseball fan of not having the DH. I'm old school,
Glory
man.
days.
Which makes because that's gone. That makes the manager have to manage more, and think about that things. I mean, but the quick hook shouldn't. I mean, the only thing I think about the quick hook these days, you look and we've talked about it, and you hit on it already, talking about the money that's been paid out. These guys is trying to keep these guys as healthy as long as they can for the investment side of it, to keep them there longer and able to play. So
you talk about managers managing and how much money has been laid out. I was really surprised at seems upside down, like the team that has the most games, the manager is paid the least amount of money. I was really surprised about that. I looked at the 4 different sports teams in Philly. And the guy who has the least number of games has one of the highest salaries, right? Nick Sirianni.
Yeah.
He's got 17 games now, $7 million. Yeah. That's around his number. Nick Nurse actually is paid a little bit more than that. He's at $9 million. Yeah. But Topper is down at $2 million. So 162 games. I mean, I don't know.
I mean, and it's all going to depend. I mean, if they win one, that's going to change. He's going to get paid.
What does the highest paid manager in baseball make? Did it say?
No.
What Bruce Bochy makes in Texas?
I don't know.
Not making much more than $6 million, I don't think.
I don't think. But
well, that's really just kind of fascinating how that managers, I guess, aren't valued in that. I mean, you said something, Paul, about
you look at the revenue. Look at the revenue
being different.
Well, it's all about the importance.
Look at the revenue for NFL per team during the year. I mean,
Major League Baseball does pretty good.
I mean, they do real good, but NFL.
They rule.
Yeah.
But people aren't dying for managers. I mean, managers, you can make an easy argument that the manager has less to do with a baseball game than any of the other 3 coaches / whatever have to do with their sports, because it's less scheme and just more individual talent. I mean, Rob Thompson's not going to have any telethons from him. He'll be fine. But, yeah, it's true. I mean, baseball managers don't make the kind of money NFL coaches make, because obviously the NFL, you win a Super Bowl, that's a different realm. The revenue, as Tommy said, very different. And
I mean, every sport's different in the way you manage and the head guys do their job. I don't know, enough about football or hockey or, basketball.
You never played football?
I mean, I did, but as far as managing what they have to do now Man, I know a lot of his delegation of what, the buck stops with him with the saves, but the man makes the lineup, in baseball. He puts the people where he thinks.
That's the front office these days.
Well, I mean, it probably is with the analytics type things, but to me, I know, I would think Topper has a big thing because it's about his job too. I mean, they give him suggestions. Here's what it's saying. Let him make the decision on it.
Yeah, and just to round that whole thing out, Tortorella, $4 million, according to the source that I saw. So. Again, Topper down at the low end.
He's a newbie. So to speak, a newbie manager over the past few years.
Yep.
It's coming a pretty good situation with the talent that he's had on that ball club.
You said making the lineup, which leads us to the next thing, Tommy. I mean, Kyle Schwarber is not your prototypical leadoff hitter the way that anybody thinks about a leadoff hitter in the history of baseball. He starts. He sees some pitches. He walks. Obviously, he hits the leadoff home run when you want to get ahead. In any game you play in, he's going to be the DH at times this year. But the leadoff position, Rob Thompson's had a million chances to change things, put Trey Turner there, put other people there. The record with Schwarber is better than it has been. With others, do you think Schwarber continues in the leadoff spot? Would you do that? What do you think 2024 holds for Kyle Schwarber?
I would think, by judging by what has happened in the past couple of years, I don't see it changing, with the way they're utilizing him and what he does, as long as he continues to do what he's doing, because anytime you can come out, on 1-0 after the first inning, that's a pretty good.
After the first pitch.
I mean, it puts a lot of heat on that opposing pitcher right off the bat, with a guy that's like that can hurt you, like that, and he's got the ability. He's not necessarily. He'll walk too in the thing, but I'd love to see him put the ball in play a little bit more somehow. Make more contact. Because good things can happen. But they do have some viable options there if they want to do that. If he gets cold, you got Stott that can do it. You got Turner can do it. I think. Those are the guys in mind that go back to the old boys like us, the way we think about it. But guys who can move the ball to all fields and can walk some too and can move, not clog up the bases, But Schwarber don't really clog up the bases much because he tends to trot around them. So
maybe it was just limited to their series against Arizona and their struggles late in that series. But I thought Topper kind of suggested that he regretted the fact that he didn't mix up the lineup a little bit more. And to me, when I heard that, I thought, well, maybe he's going to enter this season with a more fluid approach to some managers, they hardly go with the same lineup one game to the next. It felt like Thompson, he settled on what he was going to do, and he stuck with it.
Well, it could. To me,
not a guy
if it's working, you can stay with it. But when it stops working, you get on a extended type thing.
He is slow
you
to
got to
change,
move
though,
it.
Tommy.
You
Real
gotta,
slow.
Yeah. Because he's a creature. He's been around the game a long time. Yep. Topper's probably my age or just a touch older, maybe
60.
He's been around both ears, and seeing the game evolve, and it's about using the tools you have. You use the tools you have advantage of. Got access to, and it's took me a little bit of time too, but. If you got them, why not use them? But is it the Holy Grail? No. You got to use the tools, and you got to feel – it comes down to a gut decision by him. He's got to – if he feels like he needs to make the change and move somebody down and move somebody up, he's got to do that. You have back-to-back guys in the lineup swinging at butterflies or whatever and not able to protect Harper. It's you got to do something, so.
Well, I just read into those comments that it was kind of Schwarber that – was the main thing that he was thinking.
The record said,
could have moved.
Fans look and say that's not the right move, but then you look at the record, and we'll take a look at that when we come back. The Phillies go to spring training. What's Bryce Harper going to do this year? He's a new first baseman. Did you expect that? Don't think so. Trey Turner got to run it back. Had some hot time last year. Not so hot time. We know about the ovation in the ballpark. Rhys Hoskins is gone. What's that going to do to this team, if anything? Come back with Phillies Talk with Tommy Greene. Here at the Ocean Sportsbook, Gallery Sportsbook and Casino in Atlantic City. Yes, sir, Chris.
Chase and Jimmy on the ballot.
Chase and Jimmy on the ballot, and Bobby Abreu, too.
How about that?
We'll talk about the Hall of Fame vote. You know my view. Jimmy ain't a Hall of Famer. Bobby ain't a Hall of Famer. Chase will be eventually. We'll see if Tommy and Chris agree. We're back right after this. Stay with us.
Go to get your game on at the Gallery Bar Booking Games in Ocean Casino Resort this football season. Cheers your favorite drinks while cheering on your favorite team. Get in on the parlay while in the middle of a party. Go for the sports scene and go for the endless screens. Go to the Gallery. Go to Ocean. Go for the win. For more information, visit theoceanac.com. Must be 21 or older to wager or consume alcohol. Gambling problem? Call 1-800-GAMBLER.
This is Tommy Greene from the 1993 National League champion Phillies. And here's the pitch. BCWSA water and sewer customers, you have a new and improved option to pay your bill that's convenient, reliable, and secure. Powered by Invoice Cloud, you can pay your bill 24/7 online, pay by text or phone, or sign up for AutoPay to avoid fees for late or missed payments. Visit bcwsa.net to sign up or for more info. That's bcwsa.net. BCWSA, proven.
Head out to Dion Square, located at South Oxford Valley and South Olds Boulevard, to get all your essentials in one place, with the following businesses ready to serve you: Pat Dion Beverages, CVS Pharmacy, Hair Cuttery, Smile Culture Dental, Biomat, Liberty Auto Tags, Pennsylvania Fine Wine and Spirits, Lee's Hoagie House, R&J Smoothies and Juices, AutoZone, and First National Bank and Trust of Newtown. Make Dion Square your one stop for all your shopping needs at South Oxford Valley Road and South Olds Boulevard in Fairless Hills.
You won't see termites crawling across your floor, but thousands might be devouring the wood in your walls, weakening the structure of your home. For over 50 years, termite proofing and pest control of the Delaware Valley has been in the exterminating business. If you think you have a pest problem, they're the experts. Call them today at 215-639-5455. That's 215-639-5455 for TPPC. Termite proofing and pest control of the Delaware Valley gives your home or business peace of mind, knowing your pest problem is in their hands. Located at 1560 Bristol Pike in Bensalem, they use only EPA-approved material applied by licensed technicians. Call Termite Proofing and Pest Control of the Delaware Valley at 215-639-5455.
Energy costs are skyrocketing. Now is the time to upgrade your old heater and air conditioning systems to more efficient units to save on your utility bills. Harris Comfort can also handle all your propane needs, as well as providing sales and service on whole house generators. Harris Comfort is still family owned and has been serving our area for over 60 years, providing sales, service, installation, and peace of mind. Call 215-788-4596 or go to harriscomfort.com. Harris Comfort, still family and still local. With over 7,200 square feet of 200 brewers in stock at all times, Pat Dion Beverages now features 5 different flavors of their favorite slushy cocktails. You can also purchase all your wine, liquor, and other fine spirits right next door. Visit us on Facebook or online at patdionbeverages.com for upcoming events and samples from your favorite brewery or local food vendor.
We now return to All In with Paul Jolovitz, broadcasting live in Atlantic City.
Alrighty, back with you. Tommy Greene with us. We're talking about the Phillies. The farm system will it sprout wings and produce a Mick Abel this year. Position player, a couple guys you need to promote from within. We need the Phillies to do that. But what will the 2024 Phillies look like? Chris Hermer here as well. Tommy, obviously Bryce Harper is playing first after the arm surgery last year. He's going to be the full-time first baseman.
Yeah.
Trey Turner, we'll see as he runs it back. But first, we've been talking about it for a little while without talking about it. Just going to name a name and just stream of consciousness, whatever you want to say. Rhys Hoskins.
Good to see him playing somewhere. You know, that's that. Sad to see him go here. I think he was the leader. If you ask me, at the clubhouse, he was obviously the longest tenured guy I think here.
But also the spokesman.
Much. I mean, a little biased because I got to know. Know him a little bit. He was involved with the Darren Dalton Foundation a little bit, and sad to see him go on the terms that he did. I was there. I was there in ballpark the day he got injured. I was watching that. We were down, me, Ben, and Lee and everybody were down there for that game. We were doing the radio that day. Yeah. As soon as he did, I was on air And I was like, I mean, the first thing I said, oh no, because I thought it was non-contact. I saw him go down, and I was
you
like,
look back, it's such a devastating injury.
See, and that was a crucial time. And I mean, his year to do well, and it was going to make a decision. He was going to put the heat. I think put the heat on Philly to make their decision harder. What they had to do. I mean, they were going to have to do something anyway with Bryce. I mean, I think because you can't put him out there to throw out there again right now, or you lose him.
Wait a minute, spring training last year, there wasn't a person on this planet that thought they're going to move Bryce to first, and somehow he was
No.
Yeah.
I didn't think that, but it kind of worked that way.
Yep.
It worked that way because of the stuff with Hoskins. But now you talk about Bryce making that move to first. He proved he can play it. He's an athlete, man.
Sure is.
He is an athlete. He grew up a catcher, third baseman.
Catcher.
And type anyway. So they had to groom him. They had to, once he signed pro, I think that's when they turned him into an outfielder. He just plays the game, I think, the way Philadelphia fans love to see the game played.
Yep.
He gives you the effort and the hustle, and that's what they like.
You got the young kids, Bowman, Stott, obviously Trey Turner, not a young kid, 30. Signed last year. We know about the free agency, slow start, hot in the middle, kind of backed off at the end. I didn't like the signing last year, and I'll be very honest with you. You know that. I've told you before. I didn't think they needed a luxury shortstop. I thought they should have got more pitching. I love Trey Turner.
Yeah.
Nothing against him at all. But he's got big things, big shoes to fill in his own shoes this year. What do you expect year 2 of Trey Turner?
Well, I mean, the way I've always looked at it, and the way I looked at it last year when people were on him, he was struggling so much, and people were asking me, what about him? I said, hey, you got a baseball card? Look on the back of it.
You'll get there.
Yeah, it'll work itself out a little bit, and that's people. I mean, you can take credit. It was great to see the fans of Philadelphia get on board and show that love for him a little bit, but you don't see that often.
No, you don't.
You don't. But to me, the back of the baseball card plays. Barring any major injury, he was going to figure some stuff out. And, he had to come to grips with some things or some demons that he was having, putting pressure on himself or whatever it was, to come out. And he kind of figured it out a little bit. Now, I mean, I think you're going to see more of a consistent guy like he normally does.
Well, he's got to be that.
He's going to run. I mean, I think we need him for him to run. We need him to do the things. I don't want to see him be a home run guy, or try to be.
It's an aphrodisiac in this ballpark, Tom.
I know. Well, I mean, it's there. He doesn't have to be a home run. It'll hit home runs in this ballpark. He needs to do what he's been doing for the previous 7 or how many years he's been, in the big leagues.
I'd say the other thing that kind of drove me nuts is that there would be a lot of opportunities where there would be a relatively routine play, and he would not make a routine play. Could make some exceptional plays.
I don't think that's the susceptible part about, his play, And as a pitcher, I'm sort of, I'm biased on that a little bit because I think defense first is a huge thing.
Sure.
If you're letting in more than you're scoring,
you're not going to strike everybody out. Somebody's got to field the balls and get hit.
I just think the routine play has to be, made. I just think just continue to work. He's such a good athlete, and to do things. And I think the throwing errors a little bit can get a little bit better because I think he can get on top of it a little bit better to keep the ball truer.
And one more thing with Trey Turner, just to encapsulate all of this stuff, to me, there were times where he was not present. He was not, if he could be focused in and, when you don't make that routine play, where's your head? It's somewhere else when you're Trey Turner. And there were a lot of points in last season where I felt like he wasn't completely present, and then when he turned things around, it was like he showed up.
Well, you got to be present this year. We know about JT Realmuto. He's always present more than any other catcher in baseball. Brandon Marsh making strides in center field.
That was a huge guy, I think. It'll be a huge thing.
But Tom,
you got to let him play against friggin' left-handers.
Thompson's got some issues here, and we know about the lineup. I think the Phillies have been over-reliant on their lineup for a couple of years now because baseball does and always will come down to one thing, and that's pitching. Phillies got very lucky with injuries last year. Basically didn't lose any starters except for Ranger for a little while. They need some backup. Dodgers went through starters last year. Tampa went through starters. Hopefully the Phillies can get lucky again. They've re-signed Aaron Nola. They got Zach Wheeler, his walk year. He's coming in. What do you see from Zach? What do you see from Aaron, from Ranger, the rotation? give us a pitching overlook of the Phillies.
The big thing I want to see is Ranger. I'd love to see him stay in country, and not go back home and try to get, because he always tends to have visa trouble. It's unbelievable. He gets a late start every year. I want to see the guy from the start to.
Why can't you apply for a visa earlier?
I have no idea. I ain't never had to do that, but I'd love to see him right off the bat. I think a huge thing last year, it bothered me, was the World Classic.
Yeah.
A little bit. I think there's some guys that got,
Trey was huge in it.
Trey was huge in it, but I think some guys had some issues with with that a little bit. It bothered some guys. I'm looking forward to this year, fresh slate. Hopefully we can get Ranger in. Big, and as you said, Jolly, pitching is pitching defense is huge. We can't afford to make. We got to make the routine play.
That's why Reese is going.
So possibly there's a lot of factors, but we have to. Our defense has got to be better. Just on the routine plays.
Yep.
And when I ask you to make every dive and play all the time in super play,
have they found a center fielder in Marsh?
But I don't know if I think Rojas is going to get every chance to win that job.
Has he hit enough?
We're going to see. He did during the course of the regular season. He struggled during the postseason.
Some of the analytics numbers said that was a little bit lucky, but we'll see.
Analytics. There's people pushing the buttons upstairs. They ain't never played the game. There's something about guts and heart that play in the game a little bit. They don't know the tenacity of the guy who's doing it. What he does after he fails, or after this is a game of failure.
So how does a player tell a manager?
You come back from it.
How does a player? Because front office analytics people understand analytics.
Mm-hmm.
They also think they understand baseball. Mm-hmm. They understand that you play baseball and that you may not be analytically driven. We all know the different variables, but how does a player say to a manager or a front office guy, I understand the analytics, but you don't understand what goes into this game and what's required of me. How do you make it all marry and be the best you can be?
Well, first of all, you got to have. Everybody's got to have a relationship with I think nowadays with the people who are calling those shots, and everybody's different. I know I was one of those guys that, like me and John Vukovic talk about it. I was a paralysis by analysis type guy. If too much, you giving me too much. Hey, man. Hey, I don't need. If I do what I do well, they're going to struggle. I'm not trying to reinvent the wheel here, and that's the thing. I was more of a keep it simple type guy. There were some other guys that were more, so we want to call it cerebral or analyze things more than I did. But the way people analyze things is different. Everybody, that's why we're human beings.
Yep.
We're not robots, and everybody wants us to be robots, to do exactly what they want you to do.
Seems like this bothers you, which is good.
Yeah, it does. So the game is made to be played, by humans and by athletes, and failures is going to happen. Now, who comes back from it? The adversity of that, is what makes your superstars and stuff. The guys who consistently do it, your Kershaws and and those guys who over the course. Look what he's done over the course of his career. His numbers are ridiculous.
Who claimed Kershaw?
Oh my God!
But terrible in the postseason.
Well, it's all right.
But over and over and over
it's
again.
It's all right.
Tommy.
He's there. He got there. All you can answer is for a chance to do it. Now he's had some success in the postseason, not as much as he's had during the regular season, but he's a first ballot Hall of Famer.
Yeah, talking about getting there. Yeah. Clayton Kershaw going to get there when it comes to the Hall of Fame someday.
Will. But it's an interesting question. A guy who's, and all sports have them, guys who are great in the regular season tend to stumble to pressure with a smaller sample size. I actually believe Clayton Kershaw somehow is influenced by pressure. And he's
everybody's influenced by it.
But he's pitched too much, too poorly for it to be not a complete.
Yeah, some people it becomes a positive.
Well, sometimes
for him, he hasn't been able to.
You have to take the tip. You got to tip your cap to the other team. They got a good game plan, and it's about execution.
Reggie Jackson wasn't nicknamed Mr. October for nothing.
Yeah,
nicknamed Mr. July.
This whole Hall of Fame thing is a segue.
Yeah, we got a couple minutes, Chris.
Yeah, to talk about Chase. And Jimmy, and Bobby Abreu.
Who's on your ballot?
A lot of good ball players right there you're talking about.
Good.
Yeah,
Hall of Famers.
But Tommy, let me say real quick. I think
the guy's got a better chance. I think it's Chase.
I think Chase has a better chance, although I don't know why he would get 28.8 and trend up. Either guy's a Hall of Famer or he's not. People trending up. I understand a few people changing their minds, but this is ridiculous. But
it's different now than it used to be.
Well, the first ballot thing's a thing.
It seems like very good has been skipped. You're either a good player or you're a Hall of Famer.
Yeah.
Very good there's nobody very good anymore.
Yeah.
I don't think Jimmy Rollins is a Hall of Famer. I don't think Barry Larkin's a Hall of Famer. Who he's compared to?
Yeah.
I don't think Bobby Abreu's a Hall of Famer. I do think Chase Utley is. Who would be on your vote?
Well, out of the three, I'd have to go with Chase, just because he's the second baseman. And the criteria for the second baseman is a little bit skewed than the guys from the shortstop side.
Right, I wasn't considering that. I mean, you look at the numbers. I mean, Bobby
can flat out hit, dude.
Oh, yeah.
His career
He's a
numbers
very good player.
are Hall of Fame worthy. But
Yeah.
whether or not he's a Hall of Fame player is a different
See, I
thing.
don't think they are Hall of Fame worthy. I think he's very good worthy.
Yeah.
Wall of Fame, Hall of the very good. Not an
And
immortal.
as you know-
There's others guys with the similar numbers that are in the Hall of Fame.
And that's what you can't do. You cannot compare people to
Different
people that have
eras.
been mistakenly voted in, because then you wind up with making a mistake on top of a mistake.
But that's certainly it says he
As
does
you've-
have Hall of Fame
as
numbers.
you've seen,
Which is a problem.
It's not. I don't think it's all about the numbers all the time. It's about a lot of these guys are voting and stuff. It's about who is the person. The guy who's trying to get it, what type of person was he to deal with?
But if Bobby Abreu's Hall of Fame,
or is
I'm
he
up for
out in the
Winfrey.
community and stuff like that? Or what does he bring to the table other than just the numbers? Because that's a deciding factor on some of them, because the numbers might not be quite there. What's the deciding factor? Now, you've seen some guys that's got pretty good numbers are not getting in. Why?
I'd actually have to say, if it really came down to being a I really wouldn't put any of those guys in the Hall of Fame.
Yeah.
Like,
I said the guy with a better chance is probably Chase.
Right, but I still see him as just being a little bit outside looking into the Hall of Fame. All great players, but not quite Hall of Famers for any of those guys. I
get where you're coming from.
Yeah.
You know, I get where you're talking. You know, so I mean, it's going to be interesting to see on the committee. I guess the people voting how they're feeling. I think a lot of it now is the vote to have somebody go in.
Yep.
Why do you have to have somebody go in?
You
if they're
don't.
not worthy.
You don't. You don't need to have a ceremony in Northern New York that helps the economy and have people have fun.
That's
you got
just
to have people
like
worthy to go in.
Just like my criteria for pitching was, it's because the game's different these days. Is back in the day, I was looking at 300. I thought 300 wins was the threshold you needed to get in to be a Hall of Fame pitcher. That was my thought back in the day when I was younger. I was like, God, that's a long time.
And if you get 300 now, nobody's going to get it anymore.
No.
But that'll be the final word. 300. That gets you in. That's for sure. Tommy, so much thanks for coming here. We're all looking forward to spring training. First pitch.
Baseball
Phillies,
season, man.
Baseball
It's February.
season. Spring. Warm weather. Thanks for being here, Tommy Greene.
Oh, yeah.
Thank you, Chris Summer, so much for co-hosting. Really appreciate it. We had fun talking all four sports today and much, much more. Thanks to Stephen Lawler for producing back at the station. Thanks to Lee Alexander, Merrill Reese, Matt Miro for setting this up. We'll be back here at the beautiful Gallery Sports Bar and Casino, or Sports Bar and Casino at Ocean Casino. And we enjoy being here. And come on down here. You'll have a great time. We'll be back soon. Until then, I'm Paul Jolovitz for Chris Ermer and Tommy Greene saying goodbye for now. Go Philadelphia.
You're listening to 1490 WBCB, Levittown, Fairless Hills, Trenton, and now heard as well on FM at 107.3 FM, W297CL, Levittown.